야, 그치. Condense oils?
This is how I color.
Can they say,
Condense oils? Hello, Vladimir. How are you this fine day? We're gonna watch some more Andrew. Are you excited? We're gonna finish watching Andrew. Andrew Wilson, who paid $300,000 to debate Candace Owens. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for a package and it might be used as a butt plug. Okay, let's do it. Hey, hold on. Where's the music? Okay, I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Andrew.
I'm looking at the gun and I see, and I'm inferring this, and someone else says, I'm looking at the gun evidence and I'm inferring that. They're both doing the exact same thing.
They're not.
You're just saying, I want to do it for the state.
That's propositionally false.
That is not propositionally
I'll explain
false.
exactly how. It is the case that every proposition is going to have a true or false conclusion, period. That's just logic, right? It's the law of excluded middle. All propositions are going to be true or they're going to be false. When we get into when we're making inferences based on propositions. We can actually come to true conclusions with false premises inside of a proposition. In fact, what we're talking about here is not whether or not you feel that you're convinced by this evidence.
But you felt like you were convinced.
Right? Sure. But here's the thing. When you ask me my reason, Andrew, why are you convinced by this? I can give you my reasons why I'm convinced by it, why it seems reasonable and rational to me to be convinced. You could even say, but Andrew, I'm just not convinced by it. If that was the limitation of your claims, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. That's why I wanted to have the conversation, in fact, was so that we could move into your actual claims that you've made, which transcend the idea of, I'm just asking questions.
Before we get into that, your team has one thing they want to show before you go into that.
Okay.
So
I'm just asking
if you want to pull
questions.
that up, this is the prosecution filing showing defense had full discovery by April 1st.
Oof.
They did not. That's not true.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
To date, the state's prosecutors have disclosed all evidence that is presently and reasonably available to them as required under Rule 16 Utah R Criminal, to be more precise, as of April 1st.
Yeah, that was not 100%. That's why they're caging that by saying what's reasonable. There was an entire, and we can pull this up. Like, we should now play the Kathy Nestor clip because that's from there. So, and they were basically saying you don't need it at this stage, meaning it's not reasonable that you're asking for this when we're going into a hearing that's just going to be based on hearsay and stuff, things of that nature. But of course, by the time a trial comes, you're going to get all the discovery
Where it's just
documents.
show cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying there.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so that's
I'm even fine with it.
Yeah, we all know. And then, by the way, just now that the hearing is over, and you can also fact check this, they now at the end of the preliminary hearing dropped like an insane amount of the discovery stuff they gave to them like the week after. You guys can give me the exact amount. I don't want to say because I don't know my I don't remember how much it was. It was an absurd amount of stuff that they gave to them right after the preliminary hearing that they had been asking for. Because that was one of the things that I kept saying on my show is as we were watching that preliminary of the preliminary, why not just give them the stuff now so they can engage in these arguments? Because I feel like you, it's like, I want to hear what they have to say about the text messages. Why can't you just give them what they're asking for so that they can actually engage you? And it didn't happen. So, but the judge ruled that it wasn't necessary at this stage. And that was the whole-
Vladimir. Okay, so using a package as a butt plug is weird. Please don't do that. Plus, I found this event in Michigan, so I wonder to hear your thoughts. I'm not using it as a butt plug. It's the people, you know? Did I say it out loud? Was I talking about them using my package as a butt plug out loud? But they could, you know? Okay, let's watch the Candace Owens things first, you
Whole
know?
point of that
because it's a show
preliminary to the
cause.
preliminary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to play the Kathy video?
Well, he's saying he's not disagreeing, so I don't think we need
There's
to.
no point here.
There's no
Okay.
disagreement
Alright,
that
great.
that she said that.
Yeah.
So so I guess
Yeah.
the
I'd like to
disagreements now
also-
would move into the evidences that you have stated
Yeah.
on the record, which transcend elements of reason.
Why are we
in regards
having
to this
a
case.
transcendental conversation now? Because I mean,
Because
first,
they're all
because
related to this
your
case.
entire thing was about looking at the evidence, which never made sense to me. Again, because all of the evidence that you felt to be overwhelming was hearsay. That was bizarre to me.
You told me that I could take as much time as I
No,
wanted
you
to
can.
question you on
No,
these
but
things.
I'm just asking you just to lay the groundwork of what you're saying is
Yeah. Because
you've
problematic,
made
that
many,
you
many
decide that
Andrew
it
is-
trips into
I'll
something
explain.
else. And I do still
Andrew
want
is
to
very weird with his. I have overwhelming evidence, but when I say overwhelming evidence, that means that I just find it convincing. That just makes no sense. But Andrew is not a smart cookie, so okay. You know what I mean?
hold you for going through, because we've discussed the gun, we've discussed your
and you can hold me to those things, but I
yeah.
would like to get into the
and
things
we
that
should
you've
discuss
said.
the screwdriver as
So,
well.
and I'll explain exactly what the groundwork is. When you make claims which pass the idea of I'm just asking questions because the state's evidence is not convincing, I think you have to answer for those claims because they are in regards to this case. You're saying, I have a claim. It is in regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what we're talking about, not just the case of Charlie Kirk, his assassination. You should have to answer for the claim.
My favorite music is on. Hold on. Make the music louder.
Claims that you've made in regards to the assassination itself. You should, yeah, agreed. So if that's the case, then I would like to finally dive into some of that evidence and dive into
Well,
it.
just to be clear, and I'm happy to have you talk about, like I said publicly, you want to engage in some conspiracies, but I said I want to make sure that we get to the substance of our debate. The substance of our
This is
debate
part- this is the major
is me
substance.
demonstrating that all of the quote unquote evidence that you feel that you have, which demonstrates that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
You don't find convincing. I get it.
It's been invalidated by the testimony that we saw, and in your answer for when I
Well, you haven't
explained to you that he had
invalidated
the
it.
most degraded prints was I don't know. Okay, well there lies my ability to process that.
It's just fine for you
Okay.
to not be convinced up to this point. All of your viewers, everybody watching, nobody's
just gonna-
giving
you're conceding
nobody's
on
giving a
that.
dispute that if all your claims ever were just up to now, the evidence that the state's given, I'm just kind of not convinced. That is not what's been happening. What's actually been happening is that you've made tons of claims in regards to this case and in regards to the Kirk assassination, which are far above and beyond, I just doubt, the state's theory.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure.
those are
I
the
do
things
doubt. I
that
do doubt the state's theory. I also am
I get
welcome
it.
to say what I think. If you want to move into opinions, if you want to talk about Erica Kirk, if you want to talk about Turning Point USA,
Like to talk about all
and
of
get
it.
into it, I'm totally happy to do that. But I just want to say that, like, I do not feel, because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have argued that the evidence is overwhelming.
Sorry.
Candace, question for you.
That
What,
Tyler
But I am
Robinson.
sorry you feel that way.
Candace, one question. What evidence do you need to see for you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, actually,
God.
almost the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So
He paid $300,000 for this. I'm just saying. I cannot believe this dupe paid $300,000 for this. Well done, Wilson. You have played yourself.
this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like, we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove 13 hours all around. Like, we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Before we even get to the trial, people are going to see and go, oh crap, like, it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was disposing clothes at this stage. At this phase, I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said, the use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions. He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo. I mean, anything would have made me go, all right, I think this could be the guy. If they had handed over the discovery on the text messages, since that was their big, ta-da, we've got the text messages, that would be the first thing that I would hand over. But actually, who was holding them up, like I said, it wasn't the prosecution. They're right to say we were handing things over, and we heard the defense argue on behalf of the prosecution, saying it's not them and it's not the FBI, it's the FBI that's holding on to things. Is the FBI took everything. The FBI took the gun, the FBI took initially the screwdriver, and then when I heard testimony about the things that they found that were suspicious, example being the backpack, that's something that really bothers me, that they say they traced the shooter, they traced the route that he went on, and then there was an abandoned, we know it looks like he's wearing some sort of a backpack. We know that there was an abandoned backpack found at the bus stop in front of a library, and they felt that this should be taken into evidence. They took it. The FBI, this was the testimony of Amanda Baker, I believe her last name is, but you might want to fact check that because I think I'm blending last names. She was the forensics for the FBI. And then she says she gets a call on the 13th and they stop testing on this backpack because they find that the backpack actually belongs to somebody on Charlie's team. But if you know the map, the layout of the campus, you're going, well, what the hell are they doing all the way up? This is nowhere near anywhere. And by the way, that's not an acceptable answer for why you just gave it back. That's like, why would you give it back? You're acting like no one's ever been killed by somebody on their team before, right? So I found that to be very strange that it was on the exact route that the alleged gunman ran, and that their excuse was, we just gave it back because we heard that this belonged to somebody on Charlie's team. So that to me is, this is why the investigation itself feels underwhelming. When you learn, and this is completely crazy to me, that some of the artifacts that Charlie was wearing were immediately returned to Erica. That's absurd. That is absurd. Everything should be in evidence. When you learn that the car that they carried Charlie in to go to the hospital, they had immediately towed, cleaned, and back up for resale, that's absurd. That should be sitting in evidence, and any police officer that you speak to will say, or a person that's been involved in a crime will say, I didn't get my stuff back for years. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just around. And they kept it into evidence until the trial was over, and it has to be approved. I think somebody said by the attorney general has to sign off on giving you those objects back. And we were told this is all fine. And we see, this is just one example, Erica holding the crucifix That should be in evidence. Irrespective of if you feel bad for her, I think she should have, have it and it's sweet. That should be in evidence. Immediately paving over the crime scene. This is like the craziest thing ever. This is like defies common sense. You immediately, and when you heard the guy who did it actually go up on a podcast and explain, I got the call. They said it was a paver emergency. I've never in my entire career heard of a paver emergency. They had already had someone come up and dig up the dirt. So by the time he got there on Sunday, the dirt had already been dug up for him to lay down pavers. That is what people are looking at and going, this is weird. There needs to be answers for why this was done. And he tells us the call from the feds and the governor's office. UVUs wash their hands of it. And what he's saying sounds true because we heard during the testimony, one person described the regions of who was in control of everything. The feds were in control of the courtyard. So in order for anybody to have paved anything, that was federal territory, so to speak. I'm maybe not using that in the best cop term, but the feds were in control of the courtyard. So these are things that I think should be answered for. Why are we doing things differently than you would in any other criminal scenario of keeping the evidence until we know more, until we're confident, various decoys. I did it. It just doesn't look right.
Okay, so go back to the question. So what would you need to see for you to say?
Something, if they had, I was expecting, here we have him, he took the shot, here it is. And then I'd be like, great, a clear image of him on the staircase where I'm like, that's definitively Tyler Robinson and he was on campus. We got nothing. We got literally nothing but hearsay of people saying.
But you basically get no case.
What?
You basically no case on planet Earth. You get the,
sure.
Oh, we got a picture.
Okay,
Here's him with the murder weapon.
Right.
Here's him taking the shot.
Most of this doesn't take place on a college campus that has surveillance everywhere.
Yeah,
One clear image of his.
But I don't understand when you're
his
asked
car plates.
If you're asked the question, what would it take to convince? It'd be the same question be asked to me, Andrew. What would it take to convince you that the oppositional is true, right? That he's a patsy or something like that. Just good, clear, concise evidence that's been presented, right, and is being presented that I could go through and link all together to see if there's actually some clear picture of there being a patsy. That's what it would take for me.
Okay.
Just a good.
I don't disagree with that. We haven't heard the defense
Just
respond.
a good evidentiary standard, and then of course I would change my mind.
So just to qualify this, so there is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done. Tyler killed him. Yeah. So you're saying yes to that.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience here that from
Without
you.
question.
For you, is there anything that you could see for you to say, yeah, this guy was a patsy, the government was
Of course, I'm going to always follow evidence.
Perfect.
So my whole thing is just this. It's really important to me. I don't mind people being truth seekers and justice searchers, and the internet has helped solve tons of crimes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? However, there's also people who, they not only don't solve crimes, but they just come up with conjecture and what's called flooding.
Oh, both of them are just doing conjecture.
Tons of conspiracy-based ideas, and they go nowhere, right? And in fact, they actually take away from legitimate investigation.
None of them have
Now, I'm not even
anything.
saying
Jesus
anybody here's
Christ.
purposely flooding the zone. That's not even the claim. All I'm saying is that the claims made absent. This is just me not being convinced by the state's evidence. Those become claims, and claims have to be defended. Just like mine have to be defended, yours have to be defended. And that's what we're going to get to now, yeah?
None of them have anything.
Would you guys like to take
It's
an
embarrassing.
Take an
ad break.
And then we'll talk Erica Kirk and TPUSA.
And the conspiracies that have been conjectured by Candace Owens in regards to this case in the Charlie
Perfect.
Kirk
Folks, we'll take a 3.5-minute break, and we'll be back soon.
All right, you guys, you have probably seen all the buzz around red light therapy lately, but what's even more compelling are the stories from people who say it completely changed their lives. One example starts with a woman named Natalia. She sat across from her medical team.
Oh my God. Of course. Of course we're gonna get some nonsensical crap. This is such bullshit. Goddamn.
Renewal Restoration Bundle today and get your free red light therapy belt plus your in-depth protocol. That's purgemyparasitesnow.com/Candace. I also want to remind you guys about Pure Talk because you do not have to overpay for your wireless network. Not when Pure Talk comes in with the same service for a tiny fraction of the cost. And now for the first time ever, Pure Talk is offering any plan at just $15 a month for your first 3 months. There's never been a better time to take Pure Talk for a test drive. It's fast, it's reliable, and you're going to love it. You can now get any Pure Talk plan, including
Yeah,
their
she totally sounds natural and not like she's just straining her eyes looking at something that that she's reading.
unlimited data plans.
Yeah,
and
she sounds so convinced of the product. Jesus Christ almighty.
better time to find out how much you could be saving.
Oh
And
my
5, 12
god.
Fair to say you're good.
Owens.
Okay, so we're officially back. Andrew, before we go into
The
other issues
ad
we
read
wanna
was
talk
so
about,
bad.
is it fair to say you're good defending your position of the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. You take the lead. Go for it.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of questions for you, and I want to make it super painless, right? So no traps, no gotchas. I'm just going to ask them direct, and I think that as long as they're not loaded, if they're loaded, you should not respond yes or no to it. As long as they're not loaded, if I just directly ask them, I'm hoping that you'll just give me a direct answer. So here's the questions that I have.
Wait, before we get into that, I would like to just reply to that. So just to be clear, we agreed to debate our claims, and then I agreed publicly that I have no issues having a conversation with you about other things that I've discussed that were outside of the court hearing and things like other evidence that's come across our lap and things that we've been speaking about. But I just do want to make it clear to viewers that for whatever reason you think that you have a right to sort of depose me.
I'm not deposing you. I just want to ask you some questions.
You literally said that I want to be able to
Well,
question
this is
you.
a meta conversation.
Right,
We're
but,
having-
but
Depose
so now
me.
we're transcending. Like, let's use a
I mean,
word
there's no-
to
there's
use a
no-
word
nothing
that you're
transcendent.
saying.
Depose you from
But
the
this
throne.
This is what you're doing, right? So
Okay.
this part to me feels like a
So
bit
am
of
I
a.
allowed to ask the questions?
I've already said you can ask questions,
Then
but I
let me
made it
ask
very
them.
clear to you
Oh my god.
via email and with you in conversation
Mm-hmm.
that we should be speaking. This
Yeah, I
isn't
know,
like
but
you
I
get
wanna-
to sit.
I wanna
if
ask
said
you
if you
some
want to
questions.
depose me, you should join
I'm not
Brigitte
deposing
Macron's
you.
defense team.
This
But you're
is
like,
part-
I'm
this
just
is
going
a
to ask questions.
legitimate
Can you
part-
answer it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're going to ask, and
I
I'm
know.
going to
And
answer
if
as
you
I
have
see
issues
fit
with it,
because I'm not.
I get it.
Yeah,
I
okay,
get it.
Just so we're clear.
Usually in the debate, if something's not loaded, I'm just direct with
Because
the
you kept
question,
saying
with
I'm
the
Joe
answer.
Rogan. They have no evidence. They have no evidence. And now you're like, let's move away from the evidence.
You
Let's talk about
actually,
transcendentalists.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so direct question, super easy. Was Lance Twiggs DNA on the rifle, as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know.
I already answered that in the first part. We can't say that for certainty. I told you the context of which they spoke about those things.
So
was-
no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty until we know what other the 5 sets of prints were
So
on
that
there.
would be no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say no, as far as I know, for certain.
We can't say that for certainty. I actually,
You can
just
say
so
that
you
for
know,
certainty.
if your energy here is going to be like you're my dad and you can tell me how to speak or what I'm supposed to say, you're just going to come up against the wall. I'm
Okay,
familiar with
but-
this debate strategy.
but I
Like,
am
Oh my
yes,
God.
Or no,
telling
yes or no,
you.
yes or no. We're not debating anymore. We're having a conversation. So I already addressed that in the first half of this about why.
No, we're still
there's-
definitely debating. This is still.
No, it's not a debate.
This is
Now
inclined
this
to
is
your.
you saying I want to probe
Yeah.
things that sit outside of the evidence. I actually already
That you've
addressed this.
stated.
You asked me.
Uh-huh.
You're not going to go like where you're
Okay.
sitting and I'm on trial. I'm not on trial.
Okay, great.
So
let's
you
talk
can
about
have a
the.
conversation
Let's
as
talk
we've
about
Oh
the-
my
agreed.
god,
let's talk about
Wilson.
the, Foreign
This is
Legion.
so
There's a
embarrassing.
foreign legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Oh my god. You paid $300,000 for this, man. Oh, fuck. Oh man, this is so embarrassing. Like, this is... Andrew Wilson is being her whipping boy.
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's what
God.
I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was told,
Positive evidence.
it was told to me by somebody who was
That
high
dream.
up in the French government. I passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I also passed it off to Trump's office, Donald Trump's office. And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government. And I would also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do, which is when people say, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government body that deals with this. Like, I can't hack into Emmanuel Macron's bank accounts and say whether or not the information.
I agree.
But then you go, well, where's your evidence? He's like, well, my evidence is that I reported it. I did the right thing that you're going to do. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Andrew, there's a viable death threat against you, and that person definitively has the rank to be able to tell you this, and you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report that to the feds, then I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information, and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's what I did.
Got it. I just want
Cool.
to make sure.
And so
I'm not trying to trap you.
Well,
I just want to make sure I got it clear.
And that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always
my
been the
God.
thing. It's like, we actually can't win on the overwhelming claim, so we're just going to go and bring up everything that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported
I'm
exactly
not
as I
trying to
received
embarrass
it.
you. I just want to make sure that I get your
Yes,
positions clear.
I have not said. Yeah, go ahead.
Now you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Can you give
Yes,
me?
we can pull up the clip. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why
After
people
the
think that
debate?
Israel's involved? Okay, where's your
We
question?
will do some
Yeah,
news.
do you have
I
any
think.
positive evidence whatsoever?
We will
that
do
Israel
something
killed
that
Charlie
actually is not
Well,
stupid.
I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie
Israel.
Kirk. I would say that there are
Israel
various
was
things
on
that
the
we're trying
ground.
to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive, because he was
transferee?
fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about with him, nor do I believe that he was so into LGBTQ issues, since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he stopped and ate at Chick-fil-A, which if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues, because,
Yeah, but do you have positive evidence?
I'm answering the question as I feel.
I have
don't wanna
negative
answer it.
evidence.
Like I said, you don't get to for an hour and a half pepper
But the question I'm
questions and
asking is
tell me.
about positive
I'm
evidence.
telling you that in any case, establishing a motive and and again, I already explained this at the top of the show.
Again, this is
but
embarrassing
The
for
reason
him.
why people find Israel to be an interesting
Israel.
question is because, truthfully, Charlie's perspectives were changing on Israel.
Sure.
And he was starting to realize how much pressure was being put
Why
on
is she
not
pronouncing it weird like that? Israel.
not just our government to constantly fight their wars, but also being put on his
Israel.
organization personally. If people had come out and been honest about that, rather than Rabid claiming he never flinched and
Rabid?
everybody's lying and this is not true, you would probably have people that just go, that's life.
Eh.
People change their opinions.
That's life.
I understand.
And then there was the Rabid. I mean, not even that. It's like everything
A
was
Rabid.
about trying to convince the public how much he liked
Israel
Israel.
and
Understand
Rabbit.
intuition, how you feel about things. Do you have any evidence Israel
I
was involved in
have-
killing Charlie Kirk?
I have already said, and if you're watching my show in the context of what I said, this is the general sense
Imagine
of why
watching
people
her
think Israel's
show.
involved. Nobody has
Israel.
made the claim that Israelis. There were also,
I mean,
obviously
Ian
Joe
Carroll
Kent.
made the claim.
Well, Joe Kent, who I
Israelis.
think would have the right to assert it, noted that there were 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground that day. I think most people would like to probe that. Now, it could be maybe they were students, and they were Israeli students in Utah that day. But we'd like to probe that narrative because what we've seen after, coming from the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister, kind of denying that he did it, which wasn't really necessary.
I
He was quite
cannot do
busy.
this.
The phone call that happened, which no one wants to discuss, in the Hamptons the week prior, or not the week prior, I think it was around August 5th or 6th that took place. And again, the almost desperate lies about Charlie shifting opinion on Israel lead us to believe that there could be an Israeli angle in this. But we cannot say for certainty.
Please stop
that Israel
talking
called
about this
the
topic.
shots, and this
The
is how
way
it
you
happened,
pronounce
but it
this
is
word
definitively,
triggers
I
me.
think, a thread that a lot of us would like to
DSA,
see
there's no
pulled.
positive evidence.
Whatever you want to say, however positive, negative, however you want to say it.
Well,
I
like
don't
positive
need to. I
evidence
can just
would
have
be
a conversation.
material evidence and other
well,
evidences. which would
what we've
point you
said
to.
is on our show is what we've said, which is this feels like a conspiracy building.
And
This
she can say S, Israel. So I don't know why she's pronouncing this particular word so weird. Israel. Why? Is that on purpose? Like, she doesn't change S into J in any other word, in any other context. Only with Israel and Israelis. Is that like? What is that supposed to be? I don't get it. Is that like? Is that a very selective word, speech impediment, or is it like a deliberate thing?
no reason to lie about these things, and yet people are lying. BB ain't acting right. the Hamptons thing was weird, and the way they tried to shove the Israel narrative down our throat
Israel.
immediately. I mean, the day he died, posting a picture of him with an American and Israeli AI'd photo on the president's feed doesn't feel right.
Do you have
So,
any evidence that Erica Kirk or TPUSA participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk, so how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did.
I never have said that statement, so I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Your team
That's-
is
On
sending
the
messages
record.
in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what the video is.
So she might privately believe it, is what she's saying.
If you,
Jesus Christ.
yes, you said that there's a video you want to play that Candace said she has full confidence Israel was involved.
Yep.
Yeah. He said evidence that they killed him. I said this
ahead
is
and
why
play it,
people think
though.
their involvement.
So she
If
can
they have the clip,
Yeah,
they
they
can
got
play
the
the
clip.
clip.
Yeah.
They're referring to a clip.
Yeah. Via who? My guess is Pierre. Erica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's
Israel.
assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence. They also involvement.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you think you with full confidence you think that
Yeah, I think
that
Israel's
France and
involved.
Israel.
Yeah, I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not
But
the
you
United
don't have
States
any
government.
positive evidence. Of
Okay,
that,
okay.
right?
Liz, I don't. Can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence. I've just asked me what I think, and I just tell you, yes, I think
Well,
they are
that's
involved.
a claim.
No, I said here's what I think.
I have every right
think-
to ask you about your claim.
Yeah, but
and if
I
there's
said
positive evidence
in
for your
this statement,
claim.
I literally just said I think, and I am allowed to think. And
Yeah,
you
you're
keep
allowed to
saying,
think,
do you have
but you're making
positive
a
evidence?
claim.
I have tons of positive evidence
my
that I'm
God.
allowed to think. Yes.
I agree. You're allowed to think.
Okay. So,
Nobody's disputing whether or not
yeah, but
Candace
like
Owens is
you're-
allowed to
you're-
think. What
you're-
I'm asking is if
but
you have
what's your issue then?
positive
What is your issue with the statement?
evidence.
I think Candace Owens
that
thinks a bit
Israel
too much.
is involved.
That's
I
not
do.
what. That's not just what you said. You said
I did
that
say I
it's with
think.
it's with full confidence.
Yes.
You
That
would
I
think
was-
that if you had full
Can you have confidence
confidence,
to think when you think?
But if I said, for instance, I think I'm going to be late to work, right, with full confidence, I would say my evidence for that is that I'm 20 minutes away and I need to be there in
You-
5.
Andrew,
That's how you would know whether or not you had
I'm
full
just gonna
confidence.
tell you something.
Hang
My
on, hang
sis-
on. Let me finish.
Sure.
Let me finish. If it was the case that I said I have full confidence I'm going to be late to work, I would say my evidence that I'm going to be is that work is 20 minutes away, right, and I have to be there in 5. So I have full confidence. That's why I would think that. So I'm asking if you think that Israel and France were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Why
and
France?
You say with full confidence. I'm just asking for the evidence, or at least walk me through the mindset of why it is that you could think that with
I actually
evidence.
don't have to walk you through why I think. I can give you something that I think with full confidence. I think with full confidence that you know you lost the substance of this debate, and now you're moving toward things that I have said that I think, which I can do. I'm
They're
allowed to think
pertinent to this debate.
It's not exactly pertinent to this
It's
debate.
100% pertinent.
It's not pertinent because our debate
These are claims made about
God.
Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's the complete
But
substance of the debate.
no, actually, would you like to remind him of what our debate claims actually were?
And would you like to remind
You
that you
said-
said I could ask you about any of these things
I
to
said
my heart's
feel
content?
free, but you do not get to structure how I'm allowed to reply or ask me
I'm
why
not
are you allowed
structuring
to
how you're
think.
allowed to reply. I'm just asking you direct questions.
I have full confidence that you do not feel that you represented your claim well. And so now what you came
That's
prepared
nice. I
to
just
do is
wanna
to
know-
present yourself like a professor of
I
fallacies.
just want to know.
And to say, you are not allowed to say that. You can't. It's
You
my
can say
podcast.
whatever you want.
Oh my God.
Nobody's
I said it.
disputing that. I'm
It
asking-
seems like you are disputing
I'm
it.
asking
I think that
specifically
when this
why
is
you
all
think
said
that.
and done, I've already explained to you. I explained at the beginning of this
Mm-hmm.
why I think Israel is
Being
is-
embarrassed is one thing, but paying $300,000 to be embarrassed is just another. Like, it's another level, okay? I could never.
ultimately going
France.
to be proven to have involvement
Why?
in this. I just explained
Why,
to you in the middle,
Andrew?
and now you're wanting me to structure the sentence or provide evidence. You don't have to. You're just allowed to think, and I've explained to you my thought process. I don't need to structure it in a sentence. If you feel like a professor today, you picked the wrong day.
Don't you think that like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people would want to know what Candace Owens' positive evidence for why it is
No, I
that
don't-
Israel and France were involved in the most traumatic public assassination of Gen Z's lifetime is?
That's why they watch my podcast.
So you're just going to drip to them? Like, here's why
It's
I
not
think
dripping.
that?
Every time we come across any of these discussions, they're watching this in context and they know why I'm saying it. So, for example, when you're bringing up, well, Candace, where's your evidence for France doing this? I just told you someone who was high-ranking in the French government, right?
Who's nameless?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
But
So there's good reason to
so it's not a
doubt this?
conspiracy, though, if I then took it to the federal government. Like, you can't just go out there making a claim to the federal government. You get in trouble for making false statements and things of that nature. So, and then you go, well, I'm going to probe that. Well, how can you probe that? This happened
I
to
can
me.
ask you- well,
This
that's
is
not
my
what I'm probing
podcast.
specifically.
This is my podcast. I am sharing my life and my experiences and what has happened to me. And you're basically coming in like you're going to, regulate how I'm allowed to say
Nope,
it, if
I'm
I'm,
not
allowed
trying to
to
regulate
say it.
anything. I'm asking
well, you're,
very
you're
pertinent
sounding a bit
questions.
like a professor trying to regulate and say, Candace,
You
my
sound
God.
very
can't say, I
defensive
think.
and like you just don't want to answer questions.
I did answer your question 3
You
times. I just
literally-
didn't say it in the way that you wanted me
You
to
just
say
kind
it.
of obfuscate and you run away from it, but I would like for you to
let's
actually
just go through
focus
every
on it.
clip that you guys have prepared because it's pretty. I think with full confidence, people will recognize the strategy that you're trying to employ. So let's get to the next clip you have prepared.
Sure, they can pull up whatever
Yeah,
clips
whatever
they want.
it is
yeah.
that you guys have prepared. So
But
let's go.
but I would still, on this point, I just want to make sure that you have full confidence that France and Israel were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk,
I think in
and
the
you
end-
have no evidence for it at all that you'll give us.
Well, I already did tell you where it came from. Like I said, I can explain it to you. I can't understand
Did
it
that
for
same
you. So if
higher
you
up
need to,
tell you
if
that
need
he was
to-
going to kill, or that France killed Charlie Kirk, or just that you were in danger?
They said that the French Foreign Legion was involved and on the ground that day. I've already said that. You just don't like hearing it.
No.
And just out of curiosity,
Yes.
when you pass down that message to Tulsi or Trump,
Tulsi's office, yes.
Tulsi's office, are you giving them who told you that, or you're just saying, "Here's what I heard from
And I
somebody"?
have this information.
Sure.
And of course, if they wanted to open a file on it, which I thought was quite mysterious, that Trump's office never got back to us. It was kind of weird about maybe they're not the correct office too. I did receive a response from Tulsi Gabbard's office, but I don't think there was ever any investigation into what I
Got it.
said.
So the call was, "Hey, I've been
Emails.
told
It's-
the email."
Yes.
Email was, "I've been told
I have
somebody is-"
information, yeah, that the French Foreign Legion was on the ground during Charlie's assassination, and that, I mean, it was a lot of information, but
Well,
like
you didn't give specifics who it was from.
not in the first email because I figured they would like,
Perfect.
yeah.
So if they do contact you,
100
are you
yes.
comfortable giving 100% who it is?
I would absolutely give them as much
And
information
can I
as
ask a
possible.
question? If whoever's the U.S. government, why are you not?
Yes, it's very strange to me.
You know, so if that's the case, now they may respond back and say, "We did." You know, that's their position.
I did.
I'm
That's
not
why I
involved.
did it in writing.
And so I'm glad that's the case
Yes.
because. So if they
And
do
right
ask
away in
you-
Trump's office, Margot got right back to me. She said it was on his desk, so he has that. There's no.
And if you do say that and
Mm-hmm.
they contact that individual, obviously you don't have to leak your sources here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there enough credibility where that person would be willing to talk to them and explain to them exactly what their sources
Yes,
are? Okay. I mean, that's.
seems reasonable. And so why he's asking me to defend that is like,
I'm not. Never
Okay.
did.
I think those are two different things. That's more
Two
something I'm
totally
asking
different
to say,
claims.
why are they not reaching out to you?
I've asked that many times on my podcast.
What do you think about that, Andy?
What?
The fact that she emailed, she gave it, and nobody reached out to want to contact the
They
source that she's
probably
willing
didn't think
to
it was
share.
actionable, is my guess. But even if they did think it was actionable, great. Every lead should be followed up on within the confines of what's rational and reasonable.
Is it fair to say that this is maybe a different individual because this is a person that was involved with TPUS
Well, we
and
don't-
had a relationship with
Wait,
Charlie?
who?
No, her relationship. Like
Yeah.
this isn't just anybody. So if an average person sends it, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know who the source is. We don't know any
Well,
of
then,
this.
if you were in that department, wouldn't you want to? Even you assign it to one of your
There's
guys.
no
to
guarantee
say,
they didn't look into it. How do we know? We don't
How
know.
could they
No,
if
how
they didn't
could they
come
if
get
she didn't give it
the
to-
information, more of the information? Because it
And
was a
by the way,
long
the-
file.
Yeah.
This is a separate. This has
Did
got
you send
nothing to
them
do
the
with the
guy's
debate.
name?
This is more on.
Well, I sent the email, assuming that's I'm saying like you go and you make a report. You think they're going to come back to you and say, "Hey, what's more information? We're investigating this," and that didn't happen, and which is what I raised.
No,
I
I'm
found
asking,
that,
did you send them the
especially
source of
because
the
this was at
claim?
a time where they were saying that they wanted to explore every possible lead. I even texted Dan Bongino.
But did you-
So actually, it was three offices.
Let me ask
the
one question, and then
executive
I'm gonna
office, Dan Bongino, and Tulsi Gabbard's office.
Okay, so a follow up to that is the following: if they contact you to say, is that specifically to the French government or Israel's involvement in the killing of Charlie?
That wasn't about
Those
Israel.
are two separate things.
That wasn't about Israel.
Okay,
It was they were
got it.
saying the French foreign. That person, as a part of it, was saying that it was the French Foreign Legion that was on the ground that
So
day.
I'm surprised
and I
they haven't
think
called you.
Then I find that to be very strange
Very-
too.
I do as well.
Because who would want to make a report? Like, I mean, I've never made a report with the federal
But when
Let me
you
government.
ask one
did-
question.
but
Let
when
me
you
just
did
ask one
send
question.
it-
Let me just ask one question, and then I'm going to bring it to you. The question is, in regards to, I've not seen that clip, so I'm seeing it now. I'm full confidence. I believe that Israel and French was involved. Is that also based on a source that somebody told you that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie
What about
Kirk, or is that
Israel?
a gut feeling?
So, in terms of Israel, I mean, what I've said is what I publicly have said here. I do think that at the end of this, we are going to find that Israel was involved. I do. Now, in terms of any of the hard evidence that's been presented, I think this has been a huge problem that a lot of us have had is that they won't even explore anything else that was going on in Charlie's life personally. So if we're not satisfied that Tyler Robinson did this in any way, then every alternative theory should be explored. Other evidence should be brought forward. We've done that in our capacity. Like when people keep saying she has no evidence, it's kind of crazy. I think we've broken like more stories than any news source in the world. I mean, down to pictures, details, police officers, what the dog's name was, because we're not the only people that believe there's a conspiracy here. The police officers that were involved, the many police, sheriff's offices, that were departments that were involved that day, all believe that there was a conspiracy. Down to the U.S. Marshals believe that there was a conspiracy. They were, my sources at the U.S. Marshals were saying they were basically sent on a wild goose chase that day.
But do you see how you say my sources?
You're not allowed to have sources.
Well,
Like
the thing is funny.
So is CNN allowed to have
Well,
sources?
hang on. I
but
have
we can't?
sources. If I said I have sources that claim none of that's true. In fact, my sources claim that her sources are lying. My sources claim that none of them believe that there's a conspiracy. My sources claim all of them really think that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. If I just said that as hypothetical, wouldn't you say, what?
Yeah, I think what probably adds weight is like then when I drop photos of the car that no one was supposed to see, people go, okay, her sources are legit. So, and then when what I say is then proven in court and nobody knew those things, people are recognizing that my sources are legit. When I say Charlie was scared in the last days, and then I dropped the text message, which you've just learned about a couple of weeks ago, of him saying he was leading the pro-Israel cause when everyone was lying about that, then they say, I think Candace's sources are legit. So I think what's happened is I've actually built up a rapport with my audience that it's not vibes and dreams, and that's why they keep watching my content, because like, for example, when I just the other day released the content of the shooter on the roof doing the lateral crawl, then they're going, I don't think these are just vibes. It seems like Candace's sources are legit. So I've proven myself in the market.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would legitimize your sources as being legitimate when it comes to the idea that, they all believe that there's a conspiracy going on, which is actually what your claim is now. How
Well,
would that
I
actually...
was just-
Hang on, I'm almost done.
How would that talking to PVD?
How would that legitimize? Well, it's not his debate. How would it legitimize these sources? That even if it's the case that you get some court footage or some things like this, why would it legitimize that your sources are telling you all the marshals believe it's a conspiracy, all the police believe it's a conspiracy, everybody believes it? How would that legitimize any of that?
I am saying to you, and you are not forced to believe it. So let me just explain what I was answering here, and I think that you understand what I was saying. Is I have, because people trust me, compiled a lot of information and presented it to the public, and this information has been proven true. We've presented photos, we have presented videos, never before seen stuff. The public has never seen it. And so what that does is your audience goes, okay, when she says that she has these sources, clearly she's telling the truth. Now, whether you would then go, well, I'm going to believe her when she says they think that there's a conspiracy, that's up to you. You cannot watch my content. I'm not here to tell you that you have to watch my content or believe everything I'm saying.
Well, don't you think questioners should get questioned as well?
By who? I'm not committing a crime, am I? By just like saying what
Well,
I
I
think and
mean,
collecting
aren't
evidence.
most of the people you ask questions of not actually committing crimes?
But what do you mean they should answer questions where? Like at a police station? Like what are
No,
you
just
saying?
like if you want people to come in and answer questions for you. I have questions about this in the investigation. I have questions about this. I have questions about that. You want them to answer your questions. Doesn't it seem totally fair that you answer back the questions people have for you?
Well, they're not answering our questions, so it's also fair that they don't answer them.
So you're
That's
okay.
why I
so
said
I just
Andrew
want to.
Colvett should be in this chair. He's not.
But
That's
isn't
his
that a double?
prerogative.
But isn't that a double standard?
No, it's not because he's not doing it.
Yeah, but what that would still be a double standard. If you're requesting that he does do it, then that seems to infer that you think he owes you answers.
Oh, so inferences are allowed again?
And they never weren't. So that seems to infer that you think that he owes you answers. If that's
my
the case,
God.
then don't you owe answers?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm answering your questions and his questions about. I mean, I'm talking about Andrew Colbert. His position is he's a spokesperson.
Why did he do this? This is so stupid. Why did he decide to do this? Why? Why did he decide to do this? It's embarrassing part.
For Turning Point USA. So when the crowd turns against Turning Point USA on the basis of a lack of information or because there has been, I don't know, seeds sown of distrust, I would imagine, and forget answering my questions because it doesn't need to be me.
But aren't you sowing a lot of those seeds of
Yeah,
distrust?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job themselves, if I'm being honest. You can blame it on Candace all you want.
Well,
People love to do that.
the thing is funny is
people
like,
act like I'm
I think
ground
their
zero.
PR I'll be
think
fair with you.
I'm ground zero of people
I
not
think-
trusting Turning Point USA.
I think that there was some
actually kind of
PR
a
there.
last.
I think there was some PR there. Sure, they could have done better. Absolutely. I'm not disputing any of that. One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast. I
would that
think
get you in a legal
I think
pickle?
firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all, and I would ask questions. I would at this phase. I would.
Okay,
So
what does
using a
that mean?
hypothetical,
Does that mean that you do think so?
I think it was not a sufficient investigation into what we know to be true of 80% of homicides. It's usually
course.
conducted by someone you know, right? And the fact that that was never even considered, that like I said earlier, the backpack was returned.
How do you know that was never considered?
Because they gave back the backpack as just one example. They gave back the backpack. They gave back the.
That doesn't show a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, it shows that the police trusted everybody and didn't just hold things up for a
Yeah,
second.
they
and
ruled them out as suspects.
that quickly. I'm not comfortable with that investigation. It's a pretty big organization. There's a $100 million incentive. This is
What $100 million incentive?
what I'm saying is his organization. Like it had grown to, I think it was 100
Plus per year.
Yeah, per year. If that's something you want to factor
Yeah,
in,
but
that's
what was
fine.
the-
Your
what-
team wants to play video, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There's a video they want to play of Candace said it's impossible to not believe Erica's complicit. If you guys want to play that video.
Also just asking,
And
but
so right
sure.
now, their guys are going out and they're going to look for evidence. And then by May, which is fortunately around the corner, then she'll see what they found. So what the F is that performance? How could you sit up there and say, yes, I 100% believe Tyler Robinson did it. That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because what?
Those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's just say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say implicit in death. You added those two words.
Okay, so what's she complicit in?
Yes. So sowing this narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty. So you're chopping up clips. Like I said, you didn't have the confidence to
Okay,
come
well,
in
tell
debate.
me,
So
what
now
does
you're
that mean?
chopping it
What
up.
does complicit mean?
We are showing a clip of her on Barry Weiss, which I can't remember the date that she did that interview. And Erica, when she is asked, "Are you one? You know, do you feel with 100% certainty that Tyler Robinson did this?" And she says, "I do." Then again, context matters. I sit down with Erica for 4 hours under the assumption that she had some evidence, right? Like I'm like, I actually, this is why I did not engage in any like Erica, everyone's questioning what she's wearing and all this stuff. I was like, I'm gonna wait here because I don't know, just it feels weird to think that, did I think that some of her mannerisms were weird and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's not, you can't convict somebody on weird mannerisms. And then when I sat down with her and I was expecting
them
for
have
her to
anything.
say, well, you know, I'm obviously the victim on the case and we got to see the shot, you know, taken or this or that, whatever it is. Great. You know, that's why she has that much confidence 2 months ago. And when I sat down with her, it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay. So this is a conversation.
How would that make her complicit?
Complicit. And again, you said complicit in the death of Charlie
Complicit
Kirk.
in what? Yeah.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence, I could tell you that. But my point being is that then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, this is weird. Why would you have this confidence? And then when you sit across from somebody and you say, okay, great, I want to go out there and defend you now. I want people to know that you can't say this stuff publicly, but you know more things. And she just blanks. And then she says, well, I'm going to call the lawyer. And she called the lawyer. Again, all of this is on my show. So out of context clips is not going to work because I know what I say on my show.
Okay.
So we call her lawyer and her lawyer says to us, she calls him on the phone, pardon me. And it's me, her, and Justin Strife. And I'm like, okay, great. What do you guys have? He goes, well, we don't have anything yet. We're not at that phase yet. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have anything? And he says, well, don't you know how it works? It's a probable cause hearing. So basically the state says that they're going to bring this forward. And now our people go out and they look for the evidence to assert that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And so I asked her directly, her lawyer directly, the phone's in between us. I'm like, wait, so just so I'm clear, you haven't seen anything that the public hasn't seen? And he says no. So I'm going back in my head and I'm going, okay, so why is Erica saying with such a degree of certainty, like she was sent out to convince the public and people bit, by the way. I remember even Megyn Kelly was like, you know, let's wait. She's going to have access to things. I did think she had access to things that we didn't have. Why express that confidence to the public as opposed to just being like, we don't know yet. I feel confident he's involved. They made an arrest.
I don't understand. How would any of this make her complicit, and in what?
Well, I've already told you. She's complicit in trying to fool the public into thinking this is some open and shut case.
How's she trying to fool the public into this? If she believes
Like,
it,
don't look
if she
anywhere
believes
else.
that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk, if she believes that, how would that be complicit in anything?
I do.
Are you
believe,
saying that you think she doesn't believe it?
I don't believe that at that stage she sat down with Barry Weiss that's what she believes. No, but that's my opinion.
Right, but so when you just say complicit, you just mean she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk? That's it?
That's what we were talking about. That's why I said if your strategy was to dice up clips and take it out of context and make it
No
seem like I
strategy.
said
You
she
can
was
explain
complicit.
everything.
Yeah, but then why not just play the full thing? Like why?
Because we don't have like infinite amounts of time, I'm guessing. You probably don't want to
Well,
watch.
I'm going to go back to my theory that you didn't feel confident that you could defend your claim that there was overwhelming evidence. So now you're trying to move towards doctored clips and getting
Well,
me to
there's no
respond to
doctored
it.
anything. I'm just making sure that we got this right.
Yes,
That what you're actually
yes,
saying
I
is
do
that
believe
Erica is just complicit in believing it.
when I re-examined her actions backward, because I did not have this perspective of her at the beginning, which is why it's so funny to me that you guys make it seem like I'm ground zero. People thought Erica was sus from day I forgive him, and I was not a part of that. I did not lean into that. I did not contribute to that. I was getting actually terrible messages from my fans being like, Candace, you and Charlie always say to go with your intuition. You won't address this, how we all feel about her. Things changed for me when I saw that Zoom call. I will tell you that for sure. And the fact that she lied to me. So I sat across from her and, you know, I wanted to have that conversation publicly, but they're probably grateful they didn't do it publicly. She told me some lies. And so the next thing that happens naturally when somebody lies to you, when any person lies to you, whether it's a toddler, people only lie when they're trying to obscure something else.
Have you addressed what that lie was?
Yeah, I've talked about, we have a list of lies that we've been told by Charlie. We can find that,
In
I'm
the
sure.
meeting with her.
Well, no, I didn't want her to cage up. I didn't want to do this, and because I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know if she was going to be like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, you know, and I don't know who to trust the organization, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like I didn't know. I didn't want to.
Just out of curiosity, before anything happened with Charlie, how close were you and Erica?
Not very close.
So there's not a
No.
relationship.
No, I would say it's totally normal. Like it's not like there was any issues at all. We were always nice to each other. It just is our life went to a different phase, right? So Charlie and I hitting the ground, running around, traveling 4 days a week. Now I get married. I find love of my life. I get married and I get pregnant. I've been pregnant. I haven't stopped being pregnant. And what you want out of life changes. You don't want to be running around for 4 days a week and traveling on a plane nonstop. You suddenly want to start building at home and live. I was desiring that suburban life.
Did you guys ever do the double dates? You, George, her, and Charlie? Was there ever double dates between the four of you?
I was engaged to
Suburban
George quickly. We were
life,
planning our
the
wedding. I was
hellish
kind of in
life.
my bubble with George. George traveled with me and Charlie, but Erica and him were just starting to date at the beginning of 2019. George and I were planning our marriage. So George really got to know Charlie. I wouldn't say that I really got to know Erica. I was just rooting for them because I knew how much Charlie wanted to, find love. And so I was kind of his wing woman throughout that phase. And I was just happy. And I never was under the impression, obviously, that they were going to get married when they were dating. So it wasn't like I was conscious of, I really need to get to know this person. And so it was just kind of normal that by that time, because of where I was in my life, that I wasn't spending any time getting to know Erica per se.
So the complicit part about Erica to you, is that a gut feeling? You think
it transformed when she lied.
you can take the lead? I'm just asking questions.
Yes.
If
Yeah,
you want to
I
go
don't.
for it.
I actually don't. I still don't understand what you think she's complicit in.
Yeah, so when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too retarded to kill her husband,
Yeah.
would you like to explain
What the
how
fuck?
you developed your evidence, your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was retarded?
Yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
I just think all women are retarded.
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So and,
You
and what
just
and by
asked
the way,
me.
and
Like,
what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards him.
You don't think calling somebody too retarded?
No,
Is
come on. That's like normal tongue-in-cheek stuff for me online.
Oh, you're being tongue in cheek.
Usually when I call someone retarded, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, yeah. Like, for instance,
What?
you got supporters. I mean, if you want to use the same exact argument, you would take a supporter like Owen Benjamin. He called you bad names and called your husband bad names. You're just like, well, that's no biggie?
I've never answered him on anything that he said. I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think
I'm
she's
not
too,
her biggest defender.
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots talking about
Still
the
do.
feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the
Still think
headquarters.
it's a terrible idea.
You go into the headquarters. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
No. I'm not involved in any management at Turning Point.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down, and then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened, just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do, on recommendation. So
This is so
I went down and did some
embarrassing.
debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody.
The air
Okay,
slur
and then you
thing
said you
is so
sat down
embarrassing.
with Erica.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erica?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay.
For,
Is
I
that
don't
when you
know,
gave her
maybe-
the hug?
Yeah, gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay,
to
so
her.
at what point did you start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement?
Oh, I've just reached out to TPUSA and said I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, perhaps you're diabolical.
Well, I don't know.
and don't have the
I
best
feel like if I was
intentions.
going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. maybe to the media they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know
They
where
just
you...
don't have. They don't have
I
the
don't know where
courage to
you-
have the conversation.
Like, I don't
If they
see
were
this-
just releasing something in
Let
good
me ask you
faith
a
to
question.
answer questions,
Do you have any
I've never
evidence of that
demanded.
claim?
It's not evidence.
No?
You're sharing your opinion
No.
that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion that I think it's going
Well,
to
I never
register
met the
as
chick.
really obvious to the public. That rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise.
Well,
do you think the
when-
public's not smart enough to
do you
see through
think,
that?
Do you think that if
It's
you
talking
know...
about terrible PR.
If you know that there's a huge debate that's coming up that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for. And Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I definitely like to take a
But
look.
what is the-
It was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this, they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done has demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You
Still
were,
am.
were critical of Erica, and now you're sitting here going,
Well,
Candace,
first
I
of
want to
all,
interrogate you for
have
an
you
hour
ever
and a half
been-
about everything you've ever
Have
said
you ever
about
been
Erica.
critical of somebody that you hadn't met and then you meet them and you're less critical of them?
And the inverse has happened too. I was
You're right,
less critical
exactly.
about Erica, and now I'm more
But I'm
critical about
asking
her.
you, isn't it the case that there's people you've been critical of and then you've met them and you're less critical after you meet them?
Too retarded. I feel like if you think that she's dumb and let's just talk about your record. I mean, you're a person that has spent time in what most people would term to be the manosphere, talking about
Kind of.
well, yeah.
I debate against the
Against feminists.
and red pillars,
Okay.
and a lot of the actual. So I'm a Christian ethicist. I
And
always
then you
take
go
the
on to
ethics.
Joe Rogan and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon. Like you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
Yeah, I'm actually no.
You're in the
this
biggest
is,
of the girl boss positions.
Oh,
So you
good,
don't
master.
have to do this.
Okay.
You just do this.
I-
You could definitely not do
This
it at
is
all
such a
and be
stupid
fine,
debate,
right? But you
Glitch
still
Master.
do.
I
Yeah.
would say that you are
Yeah, I
making
know
a
what you
comparison
mean.
that cannot be compared.
This is an embarrassing debate.
Because Erica's husband
And Andrew Wilson paid $300,000 for it. Consider donating and subscribing to me so that I can get close to this number of $300,000, you know? I'll be right back. I have to go to the toilet. I have to pee, Glitch Master. I got so excited that you're here that I have to pee. I've returned, you know what I mean? $300,000 for this embarrassing debate. Thank you for the $33. It's not often that I get to excite a woman. Yeah. To the point of peeing in my pants. Well, no, okay, I did not pee in my pants. I peed in the toilet, but you know what I mean. 33, like Expedition 33. Thank you, especially since I have like sudden medical expenditure because I ran out of hormone blockers and I have to go to the clinic tomorrow to get a prescription. And that costs like $100 because of course a visit to the doctor costs $100 because of course I have too much money, you know. I'm rich, bitch. You know, I'm rich like Andrew Wilson. And it's like I can just throw away $300,000 to get embarrassed by Candace Owens, you know? Which Andrew Wilson here did, like some masochist. I just... God, if I had $300,000, oh my God.
Assassinated in front of the world.
Which
The
makes sense. Why
parents-
should we take the organization
No,
over?
that it makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre.
Yeah,
You
because
wanna
they don't have a
protect-
parent. They don't have a
you wanna
parent, and they've
protect-
just suffered a trauma. You
Yeah, I
don't go into
know.
the office.
You
6
want to
days later.
protect your husband's legacy,
Yeah,
right?
no.
And you're trying to find some
The
new
legacy
normal.
is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No,
Yes, it is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to
Nope.
believe that it would be both Turning Point USA, that is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole life
I think
for
this
it.
is why people think she's sus.
And his children. Now, for you though to say that anybody's a girl boss, right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, if that was you, you brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that they're by the way,
She's not
there's
qualified
always
to take
objective-
over his company.
There's always objective outliers to each situation. In fact, it's the exception that proves the rule. And the interesting thing here is like, I'm still just as critical of feminism inside of TPUSA as I've always been. And I'm just as critical of...
I mean, she was giggling about profits and about having a lot of people coming up. So, yeah, I think she just is greedy.
any pro-Zionist position as I've ever been. None of that's ever changed. By the way, I would think it's the most rational, reasonable thing on planet Earth to do if you wanted to actually see an organization change, to try to work with leadership or reach out to leadership to try to do so. Doesn't that make the most amount of sense?
I would like to state for the record that I think Erica is underqualified from to run the organization.
Sure.
And on the more emotional aspects, I agree with what seems to be a majority opinion. I'm not gonna say it's scientific, that any woman that would leave her kids and go right into the office after their husband was publicly assassinated does not have their priorities straight.
Okay, well, I understand that you can have those criticisms, but I'm not understanding still how that would make her complicit.
I don't have to keep answering the same question.
Okay,
So
but
let's
do you
let's
feel
get.
like you got an answer to how it's
your,
complicit?
your team is asking to play a clip. So if we
Okay.
want to play this clip to just finish this segment on the Erica Kirk topic, we can spend some time on that as well. So
Okay.
if you guys are ready in the back, we're ready.
And causing that 30-06 diameter, as would happen with a patent explosives, as we demonstrated to you in the past, it accidentally, because of how Charlie was crouched, went
Oh my
up
God.
and hit his neck. And that ruined everything. That ruined everything. It was problematic. It's the reason why Terrell then had to scramble to get the cameras down, because they were never supposed to see it. They could have said reasonably that a 30-06 got eaten by Charlie, much more reasonably, obviously, than saying that the chicken bones in his neck stopped it because he ate vegetables.
What?
They panicked. That was what, then that's why Terrell's nervous on the phone with me. Again, this is my theory, and I am now very much sticking to it. Okay?
What?
They panicked. It's the reason Erica had to step out. Once, that's why she would have gotten on the phone with Terrell so quickly, because I was going, why is Terrell saying, well, I didn't want Erica to relive, oh, that's why I did it. He didn't have an answer. He was nervous. It was crazy. But he acknowledged that he spoke to Erica immediately. Why did you speak to Erica immediately?
So do you believe that there was a shape charge that killed Charlie?
Hey, can I ask you why you keep starting clips mid-sentence?
probably to get to where the clip is.
No, it doesn't seem that way because you can always start a clip at the beginning of a sentence. Like you're just it's completely out of context.
Wait, I
But
didn't.
yes,
I didn't
so
prepare the
in
clips, but
yeah, I think
I
it's
didn't.
like you
But
were
it's
kinda
fine
ready.
to ask it to back
Like
it up.
I said, I don't need to say what's happening here because the internet will clock it. But in this episode, we are now going, and that's why I said we're now going to look at some alternative theories. I made it very clear that this was a theory that I didn't want to look at. This is, I believe, because I don't have every episode in my head, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode where we presented the evidence that was in the car, the photos of what was in the car, right? And so we are now inferring off of what we see in the car that this very much does look like that we see a bunch of shattered Rode microphone, which was an early theory that I was actually interested in, but couldn't really wrap my head around what was the shape charge explosive. As I say at the beginning of the episode, it was just not my expertise, and I was concerning myself with timelines and stories and statements that didn't make sense. Without question, Terrell Farnsworth is someone who made me think that we were missing a big part of the story. So I'm walking them through John Bray's theory. If we started to insert what we are actually observing with the evidence that we're taking a look at and what took place that day. So we're completely in the hypothetical right here. And you're now introducing this.
If that's the case, if you're just hypothetically exploring it,
and
that's why I'm just asking directly.
Yes, but that's obvious when you watch this episode. So that's why it feels like I'm in the middle of an interview with CNN when they pull up random clips and they're like, "What's this? What's this?" You watch the episode, you know what it is.
I'm just trying to make sure. Do you think that your alternative theory?
I think John Bray's theory should be explored. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was killed with an explosive?
I think that is a possibility. Yes.
What?
Okay.
And it should be explored. He's done a lot of work on it. John Bray has done good work, and I think that's why that theory is now starting to gain steam. Since
Why would he be
released the
killed by
second set of the photos of what was in the car?
Of course.
I think it's viable.
So this was the big thing I wanted to get into with you on the explosives too.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about that theory that's actually compelling to you? So I looked into the explosive mic theory multiple times, and the biggest thing that stood out to me is there's no explosion. there's literally no explosion. In fact, there's videos when the shot rings out that kills Charlie. At least it sounds like a shot to me. People are actually like looking up towards where the gun is being fired. They're looking away for where the sound is. Where's the actual explosion?
Well, for every person that you say looks away, there's going to be a person that was looking forward. We have former Marines that have gotten on and said, it looks to me like there's an explosion under his shirt, right? You obviously saw Rob O'Neill go on to, I'm forgetting which platform it was, where he said, the first thing I thought was it looked like...
Rob O'Neill is the man that killed Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and I think he's qualified to say what he believes he saw. We should actually, since they're pulling clips, we should run that clip of Rob O'Neill and what he said and what he observed and his experience. Yeah. So I'm going to take that, and also there were people who immediately spoke to the media that day who said the same thing, that they thought that something happened under his shirt. That was actually, if you go back to my first episode when I was just observing what I saw with my eyes, I was asking this serious question. I was seriously saying, why is it like somebody shot him from underneath? Why is his shirt moving first? It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not...
That's because of air dispersal from the bullet. So whenever a bullet is shot, a projectile shot, you can actually run this experiment yourself if you have a rifle. Take like an empty box of ammunition and put it on the table, and then fire it near the muzzle, and that box will actually blow off the table.
Okay, so question for you. Does that box go sideways off the table?
It can.
It can.
Yeah, you can. It depends on the dispersal.
You 3,000 pounds of energy or 2,000 pounds of energy coming at you. That's how much it carries.
Well, it's not 2,000 pounds of energy.
Well, we can fact check that. How many pounds of energy is it? A 30-06 being shot 150 yards away. That's a great question for Grok. I'm gonna say when we looked at it, it was between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm pretty sure pounds of energy coming at you, and you just go upward and to the side. I don't really buy that. I'm gonna just say I just think that that's not possible. It doesn't go through. On top of that, so there's another miracle. You didn't get blown backwards. It didn't go through. But I also want to say that you're saying this can happen, and Rob O'Neill is infinitely more qualified, I think, to speak on that.
Why?
And because he's actually shot and killed people.
Why would that have anything to do with anything?
Because
did he slow down all the videos of the people he shot to see if their clothes moved?
Well, why are you able to assert your position as a fact?
Because I'm gonna tell you how projectiles work. He's not even gonna I guarantee you, this guy's not even gonna disagree with what I'm about to say. If it is the case that you have energy and you have mass, and the mass is moving in the air has to go somewhere. It doesn't have a choice.
I think you're totally BSing right now, man.
Not only am I not BSing, I'm telling you the truth. If a bullet is moving in air has to move out of way of bullet.
But maybe not at the bottom of a shirt here. I don't know. I disagree with that. I'd like to say, for the record, I've watched some of you do these sorts of things where you assert something with a lot of confidence, and
you can fact check it. Fact check if bullets displace air.
Not about whether it displaces air; it's where it disperses the air. Underneath his shirt here.
It's not underneath the shirt.
A bullet's this big, and you're telling me it's going to hit his neck,
Candace,
and then
it's not underneath the shirt.
The
it
shirt
starts
puffs.
up here, and the collar's moving, and then you see the wave here as he's moving backwards.
No.
Yeah.
That's not true.
It's not.
And we obviously can't show that clip. I disagree with you.
Okay, I understand you can't show it for TOS purposes.
Exactly.
That's fine.
I disagree with you. People can go watch and make up their own minds. We don't need to debate it. Whether or not that was the first thing I said was, why is his shirt moving first? That didn't make sense to me. It almost looks just like this. It goes across. His necklace breaks first before Charlie even reacts. If you watch it in slow, his necklace breaks first, which I thought was very odd. And then you see a puff here, and the next thing you know, there's the entry wound on his neck. I would not confidently assert that I see smoke. I've never said it on my platform.
Do you think that an explosion generally has smoke?
I don't think that there's any quality version of video that would get us to be able to answer that question, other than Terrell's 4K footage that he has from the front. So
there's a lot of, if you look at the Israeli pagers, it's assumed that it's a similar, if not the same type of explosive that was used inside the pagers that would have been used inside of this roadway.
I think that you should, since you love debating, you should debate someone like John Bray, who's worked on that theory for 11 months, and ask those sorts of questions of how a shaped charge would work. I presented the evidence of what was in the car, and I also, at that episode that you're clipping, said John Bray has done an unbelievable amount of work on this, and I think he has debated a ton of people, actually, regarding this topic. So that's the route that I would send you on. For
Yeah, that's fine.
for the purposes of my show, I do believe, to answer your question, that it is a hypothetical. I mean, that it is a theory that
It's all hypotheticals, no
There's two
evidence.
clips your team wants to show.
The
One of them
most
is the Robo and Neil
expensive
clips,
waste
if we're
of
honest. So
time.
if you guys are ready in the back before we go to ad break, if you want to pull it up, this is a good time to do so.
Another ad break.
And good to see you, General Hull. A lot of things bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. It's not like I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then getting him off the X somehow. There didn't seem a lot of concern for his life. It seemed like just clean it up. And then, I mean, I've been told they paved it over a couple days later. And then you get Erica Kirk behind all the razzle dazzle, and she's really quick to forgive the alleged shooter, which technically says that was him, because I forgive him, but that you can't forgive Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions. And they mock people by saying, oh, I'm just asking questions. Yeah, I'm a SEAL Team 6 sniper. I'm asking a lot of questions. No one wants to answer them.
And you're able to.
He's actually said very little about the explosive there. So
I'm just saying, he said he's shot people up close, and he's never seen a shirt move like that, and it looked to him like an explosive. That's what he just said.
But when I play that video at full speed, I can't see a shirt moving. I can only see a shirt moving when we slow it way down. So if I'm in real time, I'm just assuming this, right? If I was in real time and I was in like a close quarters combat, you kill somebody situation, and I shot them, would you even see the shirt move?
Well, I just feel like 5 minutes ago you were arguing that it was because the bullet carried air. Now you're saying you don't see the shirt move at all.
Yeah, but that's, if you slow it down, the disbursement of air, that's where you're going to see it, right? It's going to be very quick. Very, 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 very fast.
Yeah,
and then
that's not what I saw, and clearly it's not what he saw, and he thinks that there could be an explosive. So I'm just saying to you, people disagree with you. Your opinion's not a fact. That's all.
I understand.
I think that's a good place for us to, if we have another break, and then we can keep answering your questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. We'll do a quick 3.5 minute ad
This
break.
is
We'll be back for the last
so-
segment.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
All right, you guys, I want to tell you about Ethos because life
Yes,
has a
that's-
way of changing your priorities. You guys
that's
about
right.
Tax Network USA because I
or at least for the most part. So
garnishing wages or freezing your bank account. Call
Okay.
Tax Network USA. They've been helping taxpayers nationwide for more than 15 years, resolving back taxes, unfiled returns, and serious IRS problems. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Right now, they're offering a free IRS investigative call to find out exactly what you owe and what options you have to fix it. So call 866-686-1651 or visit tnusa.com/Candace. Again, that's tnusa.com/Candace. I also want to tell you guys about Field of Greens because I am always looking past the headlines and asking one simple question: what is really in the product that I'm putting into my body? Think about it. When you buy a steak or a bag of vegetables, you see nutrition facts label. When companies take fruits and vegetables and turn them into a formula, you'll often see a supplemental facts label instead. That makes you want to know more. Where do the ingredients come from? How are they
Oh
processed?
my
And
god,
can I
she's
trust what's
such a
actually
conspiracy
inside?
theorist.
That's one reason I love Field of Greens because their focus is on quality,
I know.
transparency, and bringing together fruits and vegetables
Oh,
in a
fuck
convenient
me.
daily formula. And it actually tastes good. Wildberry is my favorite, but strawberry lemonade is a popular choice as well. No complicated routine, just one scoop mixed with water.
She reads the ad. She does the ad read so dry. God damn. Like that's the driest ad read that I've ever heard.
If you want to try it, use code Candace at checkout for 20% off your first order by visiting fieldofgreens.com. That's code Candace at fieldofgreens.com.
All right, fantastic. So, Andrew, if you want to go with your
I
last
know.
couple thoughts.
yeah, so I just have two more clips to play,
Okay.
right? And then we can do final thoughts. I'm guessing. I feel like we got where we were trying to go, or at least for the most part. So the two other clips, I do want to play the Twigs clip. That one is important to me, the Twigs DNA clip.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull it up just to have you respond.
Well, you don't have to play it because, like, if you're saying that when I initially watched it, I thought that Lance Twiggs' DNA, like, he was directly responding to that because the testimony was a bit confusing. They started by saying that they were going to, like, explaining how they got the samples, and they said Lance, Matt, and Lance, Matt, and Amber Robinson, how they got their DNA samples. And then they started speaking about the gun and said, you know, multiple prints were found on them. And then they moved and they said Lance Twiggs' DNA was found on the screwdriver. When I went back and rewatched it, I realized, well, they haven't officially said that Lance or Amber are on the gun. So I think I've already conceded that we don't know that. So I think, like, but if you want
well,
to play
no,
the
this
clip
is
to
directly you saying it is on the gun. Twigs'
yeah,
DNA
I'm saying
is
that
on
I
the
feel
gun.
like I've already said to you, like, I've made that concession. But just to be clear, whenever I make a mistake, I just correct it. So that's why when you were asking me 3 times, I've already said we don't know yet, and I've corrected that mistake. So if the purpose of you showing this is to demonstrate that Candace makes mistakes sometimes when she's taking in a lot of information and she's reading through legal documents and she's trying to remember
it's not
9-hour
actually.
testimonies.
It's to demonstrate something else. It is, in fact, the case. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
And I've
on
already
the case.
I've already
You're going to make
conceded.
mistakes in the case.
Yeah.
But in this case, you were very adamant that his DNA was on the gun itself.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that it's not ruled out. We know that there's 5+ prints. I've said this so many times. I had to rewatch testimony again. It's like 9 hours a day. It got very scientific when they were speaking about this, and I think I wrongly extrapolated that they meant all 3 of them were on the prints when the only person they officially
so
named was
easy
Matt
to be a
Robinson. So
conspiracy
we don't know yet
theorist.
if Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the prints, DNA on the gun officially just yet.
Okay.
I've already conceded that.
Sure.
So
That's fine. And then the last one is
Yeah.
one with Erica Kirk.
sure. This is like the Erica Kirk. All right,
Well, this
Erica.
just
You
goes
could
back-
just sit down with me, Erica,
This
but we
just
can do it
goes-
this way.
This goes back to a previous claim that you made.
Yeah,
so I was
sure.
bringing it up.
Straight to jail, straight to jail. For questioning, at least, Erica. I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who wants to be upset after this episode. Really, you will be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies.
So straight to jail.
Yeah, so that's the show intro, and straight to jail is a Monopoly term.
Okay.
Like, you know.
So do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Yes, it's
You're going straight to
obviously
jail.
tongue in cheek, and then I explain that actually I think that she should be brought in for questioning because of inconsistencies. So this is the exact episode when I started to think that she should be sat down and questioned, and I still believe that. I still hold the perspective that Erica should be sat down and she should be properly questioned.
Do you know that she hasn't been?
No, actually, that would be a great thing for the
Oh my
spokesperson
God.
of Turning Point USA to say that she's already
but why-
sat through.
why do they-
I mean, my guess would be she hasn't because they returned everything to her.
Yeah.
But
Why do they owe you that though? Why
they don't owe me
Yeah.
anything. That's my show you're watching. Just, you know, the clips that you're pulling are
Yeah.
from my show. So if I want to say something on my show, I can say that. I
You
didn't say
can.
they owe me something. I don't think that's ever,
You
unless you
can,
have
but
another
if you
clip.
say like you need to be sat down for questioning
Yeah.
and you don't even know if they haven't been, that's strange, right?
Do you know if they have been?
No, I have no idea.
So you're just saying, what if they haven't been?
Yeah, if your
you're just kinda
entire
filling the air
if your
with
entire
just
thing is
junk.
if you're no, it's not junk. If the query is why is it that Erica Kirk's not being sat down for questioning, but you have absolutely no knowledge whether or not she's been sat down for questioning or not. What that does is it creates an innuendo. It creates an inference. It creates out to the ethos that this should be happening because something's wrong here when you actually don't have the knowledge that anything's wrong at all.
Out into the ethos? What the fuck is he saying? What do you mean out into the ethos? It's like with the evidence is crap, but even more illiterate. I know, but what the fuck? The ethos. I know you meant the ether, but goddamn, Andrew Wilson is something else. Into the ethos. God damn it. Oh my god.
I just think that my opinion is that she should be sat down and questioned.
But you're not sure if she hasn't been.
Yeah, and you're not sure if she has been either. So, like I said, I feel like now you're just kind of filling the
Well,
air
to
with
my
nonsense.
knowledge,
Because
this
Turning
is
Point's
to-
like, we want
To my
make
knowledge,
sure that you go in there and you
nobody-
defend Erica. And I have to say, I don't think you've done an extraordinary job
Great,
at that.
but I'm not here to defend Erica. The thing is,
I
though,
would
is
say
like
that since 4 out of 5 of the clips that
Yeah.
you
The dumbest people have too much money. I know, right? God damn. And a US native speaker was like, I have gathered evidences. Just God damn it. God damn it, Wilson. I'm gonna go this week and I'm gonna buy some feminine clothing. Oh my god. There you go. Maybe I'll learn some makeup from my relative.
had on the ready when we asked you guys ahead of time. I mean, I want to just assert how professionally we have dealt with this debate. As you can see, we have not planned any gotcha clips for Andrew. I expressed to him that what we were going to do was just to use people for fact checks, and because I might not remember something, or I do remember something and you're saying no, and that is what I think will register to people as very
Well, wait,
fair.
I expressly
We did not take out of
wait, what?
context clips of Andrew
But
to
I
try to
expressly said
please
that
don't
I
cut
was
me
gonna
off.
bring
We did
claims,
not.
right?
No, when you said you were going to bring claims that
Your
you would want me to
claims.
speak to, you didn't say, I intend on sitting you down with out of contexted clips to which we said to you before in an email. Any clips that you want to share with us, send it over. Let's assert a debate claim so that we can both be ready to respond to it. This just
That's not really what happened.
well, What's not? What didn't
Yeah,
happen?
the way that you're framing the exchange, that's
do you
not
mean?
that's not actually what happened. We were negotiating. It is true we negotiated out the claim itself, right? Which one's going to take which position. I wanted to make sure that I had at least an hour and a half on mine, and you got the time for yours to question me. We did. We got through your hour and a half on mine, roughly an hour and a half now on mine. That's basically how this went.
But in the beginning, I did not take an hour and a half to just pull out of context this with Andrew. I actually debated the substance of what's going on in this trial and this hearing, and I do think that I think you fell short of that.
There's nothing hang on.
And
There's nothing
I did not
here
say,
except
I'm
holding
just
you to
gonna
account
get
for
you
your
to say
claims.
yes or no. Well, hold on. We were supposed to be debating the case.
We were
and
supposed to
whether
be
or not
dating.
There was overwhelming evidence.
These are your claims.
Hold on.
about
Did
the
she
case.
just say we were supposed to be dating?
So you then, whether
part of
or
the
not, well, hold on. We
Yeah.
were supposed to be dating.
We were supposed to be dating.
I'm
Damn.
just gonna
account
get
for
you to
your
say yes
claims.
or no. Well, hold on. We were
Yeah.
supposed to be dating.
Damn, they were supposed to be dating. You heard it here. Candace Owens told Andrew Wilson they were supposed to be dating. Damn.
Be debating the case
This
and
is
whether
part of
or
the
not
case.
there was overwhelming evidence.
Supposed
These
to
are
be
your
dating.
claims about the case.
No, you then admitted that now you're getting into another sphere and you want to talk about the transcendentals and things that I've
And we
said.
got through-
And like 4 out of 5 of your clips are about Erica Kirk. So the general
I
perception
don't think 4 out of 5 even
is
were.
your turning points horse.
Oh,
I
so
think
you just-
quite a
just-
few
you
of
just-
them were.
you
Was there
just-
3
just made it
Ericas
up?
or 4?
So you're just making stuff
Can
up?
we get a count of how many were about Erica? I feel like
I think it was
Yeah.
3.
3.
Three.
Okay,
Yeah,
3. I
3.
said 4.
But those are extraordinary
sorry.
claims. That's which why you're asking
Okay,
about them,
well,
right?
okay, but the point being is now you're veering into trying to get me to defend my opinions, and then you completely shirk responsibility
Your
when I
claims.
point out yours. No, they're not claims. When
No,
you
they're
tweet
claims.
Erica is too retarded, you go, that's just whatever, and then you move on.
That's a claim. That and I'm responsible for the claim.
Well, earlier when I brought it up, you said that it was tongue in cheek.
Yes, sure. That's me responding to your criticism
Okay.
of the claim. That's all I'm doing here.
I was interested, and
And I'm happy to get into also the Patsy stuff now if you'd like to.
well,
Your
that
team
was
has one more
supposed
clip
be
they want
the
to play
whole
one
thing.
7
more.
days
Okay,
ago.
sorry.
They got one
They
more
had
clip.
to.
they
We
wanna
were
go
getting
to
into the
Patsy.
Patsy stuff, and you stopped it, and I was explaining to you. Oh, they have one more clip. Okay, let's go.
They want to hit the minimum of 4 clips you were saying with Erica. So
100%.
This is absurd.
okay. And this is the one you're saying from 7 days ago.
Where's the clip?
Okay. While they're looking for that, do you want to continue?
Oh, they
Yeah,
just.
I mean,
yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask a question?
What?
You know, it's been, or like, can I ask a question? Or are we
Not
just in
really. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
We're gonna hold to the actual contract itself.
the contract does not say that you are allowed to just question me without me being able to respond to you
I've never said you
or
can't
have
respond.
a conversation.
You've been able to respond to every question I've asked you. And by the way, the other thing is like
Let's have
I'm
it your
still-
way. I want it to look like
still happy
we've
to have
done
the
everything
debate.
Andrew wanted to so that people can fairly assess the situation. So you have it your way. I
Totally
will not
fine.
ask a question.
Totally fair with me.
So are you good with her asking a question or
He
no?
said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay. So you want to wait for the clip first. Okay.
Oh my god.
You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
You're both so embarrassing. But Andrew is more embarrassing actually in there.
You
Your
need
team,
the Jeopardy
Your team
thing.
told me they had it. So
That's what I heard. Okay, there we
come
go.
on, guys.
Did this crime. Okay? Because Lance
I can't
Twiggs
hear this. My
has
thing
his
went out. Just
DNA
tell me what
on
it
the
said
towel.
longer. It's fine.
Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle.
Lance Twiggs
And to
had
be
his
clear,
DNA on the
Lance
rifle.
Twiggs'
I've said this
DNA
4 times,
was
but I don't
not
know why they feel
as
like they need
degraded
to-
as Tyler Robinson's DNA was on Tyler's rifle. It's Tyler's rifle.
Oh, you
but
also
Lance's
said, yeah, it's
DNA
not as degraded on the rifle.
Yeah, because I thought he was one of the things. But I've already that's what I mean when I say that. Like, it just seems like you're not actually here trying to engage, because even before you got to this and I knew that you had some secret clip planned, I said to you when I rewatched the testimony, I realized that they didn't explicitly say Lance Twiggs. They said 5 other profiles were on it and that his was the most degraded. So I hope your team feels fulfilled in playing that. Is there any more? I'm happy to play every clip that he has on the ready.
God.
Anybody?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah,
debate
we
that
should
you had
show that
something
text
new.
message that you read
Did you
just
wanna
because
share
I
that?
think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context.
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the text.
So you're going to read it on my show but not show it?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show
What?
it on
Can
my
I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence. You know, that's got to drip out that evidence. Keep people coming back for the show, right?
I don't know if snark serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I'll release it there. Yeah, that's my intention. But yeah, I'm fine with closings if you want to do closings.
Well, I also would just, if I may ask a question, is that
What
permitted?
the fuck is
Just
happening
so I
here?
also have
He
clarity,
paid for
since
this?
Your basis has been evidentiary. You keep saying that you have evidence or like you are following evidence. Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah, can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But I
Can you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not following
Is that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just
but-
not
but, I mean,
following it
seems,
enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty. I just think that you should like.
All right.
Can you tell me one
Then let's do the
charge
counter.
that he's?
You can really, yeah, this is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put me
yeah.
in the hot seat. So please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name,
7 since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I.
Can you
I think
name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure, you don't have to
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
You don't
Name
have to
'em.
put your fingers up. I
Okay,
can do
hang on.
that.
Name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death sentence
So
in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay.
And so
Next.
just for people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined,
Just
and because
avoiding
it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you'll be better the next time you do
I
it.
got it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want
away?
you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I
Okay,
actually
well,
am
I
under
got
no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
And what's
final,
the specific charges, though?
that is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those?
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, wait, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with it.
just the charges, and then 7.
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last
Oh my
charge is,
fucking god,
violence.
Andrew!
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to.
It's a massive. It's
Got
like
it.
you cannot
Massive.
say murder versus aggravated
Massive
murder.
distinction.
This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence, and I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be very compelling of why it's not aggravated murder. I actually think that if the state was going to even try to pull this off, they should have charged him with just murder. And then I do also, again, want to stress to audiences that that debate strategy of thinking that you have to speak faster or somebody puts your hand up and they try to pretend like it's some sport. I think he thinks it's a blood sport. It's not. It's about being right and being principled when you're engaging. And you can make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. But at least be genuine in pretending that you care about this case enough to know one of the 7 charges that are up against Tyler Robinson when you say the evidence is overwhelming that he's guilty. If you would like to move to final statements, I'm fine. I want to make sure Andrew has had the time that he has requested.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If you guys want to pull that up just to confirm the 7 you went through. Can you guys zoom in a little bit? For
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, which is counts 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tampering with a witness, and count 7.
Violent
I said offense in the presence of a
in front
minor.
of a child.
Yeah. So 5, 6, tampering witness, 3rd-degree felony. Now, I did notice something I just was curious about. If I'm just wondering. When you pulled out your phone just before you asked that question, did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone.
I'm just curious.
No, you can absolutely not. I have not had one communication with a single person, not even my producers who are in there this whole time we were here. You want to check my phone? I'm happy to do it because you're just going to get double embarrassed. Where's my phone?
You
should
want to
do
see it?
I'm just
You can.
curious. Yeah.
You can literally do that. Here you go.
Oh my.
PBD.
Andrew.
You're the moderator. Take it.
Let's see
See
it.
if anyone was texted at all during this debate
All right.
about the violent charges or anything.
I'm looking through this. You give me permission. so
You
I'm
have
looking at
full
it. I'm not gonna
permission to
give
go
names.
through my phone. I don't need to
So
cheat.
the last one has nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
I haven't even read my text messages.
That's
so
a compliment.
He's reading them.
You're okay. You'll give me permission.
Yes.
I'm just going to read 3 of them
Yes.
to 1132 because after that, I don't need to read it.
How do you know their texts? Could have been Telegram. Could have been something.
All I
like
have is Signal. You can check that too. I only have Signal. Telegram I used in Russia, and that was it. I downloaded it for
I'll
Russia.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
Then-
I don't need to like. I
Okay.
deeply care about this case. I don't need to
I
pretend
get
to
it.
know
If you
stuff that
deeply
I
care
don't
about
know.
the case, I
Yeah.
just, I have my other question is about the steakhouse receipt.
You just said that you were done asking all your
Nothing.
questions.
So you know,
Yeah.
nothing.
I don't
Yeah. Do you
need to
have the
that.
steakhouse receipt? Is my question.
I have said several times that I have never said I have the receipt for the steakhouse. I have said the person who's working on that story is going to be forthcoming with the receipt, and that was what I was responding to. And he then dropped the receipt. He redacted elements of it, and I said, "Stay tuned. He's the one working on that story."
Okay, so
I
you
never-
haven't actually confirmed that Robinson was at that steakhouse.
All I did, as I said earlier in this conversation, was I spoke to the owner when I broke that story. I think it was back in January. I spoke to the owner, understood what had happened, and that there was a receipt. That's it. That's the extent of what I shared is what happened.
Okay, so to be clear, there's no receipt. You
No,
don't-
I just said the opposite. I said there is
well,
a receipt.
you don't have a copy of the receipt.
The receipt was published online.
Yeah, right, with blurred
The
out.
person working on this story
Yeah.
that blurred that out is what I was referring to when I said stay tuned and keep following his stuff, because he went to go do what I hadn't done, which was he interviewed the actual server.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse.
I would say the receipt, if with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence. If that,
I
is-
agree with that,
Yeah,
but-
so that's it. But you're questioning me.
But is there, as of right now?
He paid. If you're asking me, did he pay with a credit or debit card? The answer is yes.
No. Is there proof that that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is behind that story.
Well,
to
the
source
reason I'm
something
asking
out.
you is because you always include it in your timeline that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building
Oh
a
my
timeline with
fucking
things
God.
that we feel are
But is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the receipt is good enough to put on our timeline.
But the receipt itself, the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like, if I've ever had a merchant account, I just call the merchant
Mm-hmm. Well-
account processor and say, what's the name on this?
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of what took place on that day. That's where it's gonna stay, and if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule. For sure, for certain.
To be submitted as hearsay.
Well, yeah, beyond that, because they
Yeah,
didn't even
but-
have receipts. They were like, Bob told
But
me
the
this.
question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler
Yeah, I just want to
Robinson's,
say you're
right?
holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding it.
in
I'm
the
just
prosecution.
asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I've told exactly what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
So
I
should that be
chased it
added in
down.
an official timeline that
It's
you
in
give?
my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If
You
we
can
get
do
something
what you
wrong.
want, sure, but
Cool,
I'm
I just wanted to
asking,
make sure.
should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson?
Yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should. Yeah.
You don't think that falls
And then
under...
you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and that
What's the
is-
strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
You know, I'm actually all good with being. I feel like
Okay.
I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got
All
the
right, fair enough.
information, what happened next, with the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing knowing what his debit card was and confirming it, yes. And I do believe that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my show.
That officer, the first officer that was up on the roof, do you remember his name?
Officer Bagley.
Yeah, what was his first name?
Christopher.
Christopher. When Christopher got up on the roof, you talk a lot about how his camera died.
Well, he talked a lot about that during the
about
preliminary
his camera
hearing.
died.
Yeah.
Do you think that he planted that screwdriver up there?
No.
No. Who do you think planted it?
If we're just going on am I allowed to have an opinion?
Of course.
At this stage, I would say that I don't buy his assertion on the stand.
Sunset.
That he didn't check
The sunset
to see
is
if
nice.
anybody went onto the roof.
Never apologize for watching a sunset,
He
Emily.
got up there.
Only
I
perverts
do
apologize
think
for that.
It's possible. It's
You know
almost
what I
possible
mean?
that the
And I know you're not a
planted.
pervert,
I don't
Emily.
believe him. What I can say strongly is that his cam died at just the right time. His body cam died at just the right time. I think that, as you were just grilling me about whether or not I had got the merchant receipt for a debit card, that kind of makes difficult that we just have to sort of trust that a screwdriver was found and we don't have any should be evidence of a police body cam. But like I said, you accept that stuff and then are like, did you call the merchant and get, like, it just seems like you
Well, I'm not adding.
hold,
I'm
like
not
I said,
adding
you
this
hold the
to
prosecution to
Well,
the
wait a
state
second.
to a higher standard
I'm
than
not
you do to
adding
people.
unconfirmed evidence to an official timeline that I'm putting out either.
What do you mean an official timeline? This is my
Well, this is
timeline.
the-
I made it at home.
So then it would be official to your show?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then your official timeline, Candace Owens' official timeline,
Yeah.
includes a steakhouse stop that has not actually been confirmed at all.
Well, yeah, it hasn't even been discussed by the prosecution, so it's not like you're debunking that it happened.
Well, there's no evidence for it. There's no good evidence for it at all. There's no camera there. And the steakhouse receipt itself has never been confirmed to be Tyler Robinson's.
I'm assuming this is just like a talking point they gave you, and you got to like keep pushing this, or like.
I've been
'cause
following it very closely on X.
the receipt. You weren't even
On
following
X.
the charges of Tyler Robinson, but you really
You
wanted
think
to know.
that
I've been
because-
following it
do you
very
think that
closely on
because-
X.
Wait, you think
I'm calling owners of
do you know
steakhouses
that-
and having a
wait,
conversation. You're following
Yeah,
Congo on
I
X.
literally followed the entire trial or the preliminary live. I was live with an attorney. We covered all of it. You think because I have a momentary or lapse where I'm like, oh, it's murder? No, it's aggravated murder. Come on.
You didn't know any of the
That's
charges.
splitting
you didn't. No, that's not
hairs.
splitting. It means you didn't follow the preliminary hearing at all.
He did
No,
not
it doesn't
prepare.
You
At
don't know
all.
any of
That's
the charges that are
ridiculous.
against
He
him
did
when
not
this is
prepare.
like this is like getting literally to the crux.
Oh,
Aggravated
man,
murder versus murder.
It's
a
ridiculous.
death sentence.
And not only that, let's point this out. One of the major things
Yes,
here is
different.
that this is your official timeline.
It's mine.
Yes. Who else this could it be? Who else? There would be Candace
What's your
Owens'
issue?
I just don't know
timeline.
what his
What's
issue
your
is with my timeline.
What's your issue with that?
Well, so the issue is that the entirety of the evidence revolves around two people who claim that he was there and supposedly a receipt. There's supposedly a
wow.
receipt where Tyler Robinson paid for his steak and his soft drink. No alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? Know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt, they could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt, and yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, and she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours. The requirement for about what, roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, like, not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't have to
He's
keep
not a
belaboring the
serious
point here.
person.
I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this when it came in. I spoke to the owner of the restaurant.
He's definitely not a
obviously
serious
took
person.
down everything he said. I noted that there was, in fact, a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason somebody misidentified something down the line, or we find out it's a different Tyler Robinson, I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your
because
timeline.
you will constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm gonna keep it there if that's cool.
Sure, you can keep whatever you
Great.
want there. I'm
Okay.
just saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay, thank you.
No hard evidence anyway. Yeah, I'm fine with closing.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we go into ad break, right after this will be final thoughts. I'll be asking both of you if anything on your opinion, thoughts changed on the case, and then we'll finish it up from there. So with that being said, a 3.5-minute break, and then we'll come back for final thoughts.
All right.
All right, you guys, if someone followed you everywhere that you went, recorded what you searched, and studied your habits, you'd call the police. When your smartphone does it, we call it convenience. At Zero Ghost, they believe that you shouldn't have to trade your privacy for convenience. That's why they created the Ghost Phone, a smartphone built to give you more control
God.
over your personal information without giving up the things that you actually need a smartphone to do. The Ghost Phone has been professionally hardened to minimize unnecessary tracking and make your phone substantially more difficult to hack or compromise. And considering what some of you have been searching lately, such as what does it mean to be yanking and banking, maybe your smartphone doesn't need to know quite so much about you. The best part is that you don't have to become a cybersecurity expert to use it. You can keep your phone number, you can keep your carrier, you can use your normal apps, call, text, take pictures, you get a normal smartphone experience, but with the privacy and security at the center of it all. The difference is the phone is built around your privacy rather than building a business around your data. So yank and bank your way over to zeroghost.com/Candace and use code Candace at checkout for $50 off your. Again, that's 800 Montana Farm. And in a world where cream has become one of Nimi's most popular
Fuck me, so many ads.
Now is the perfect time to try it. Visit
Oh my
nimiskincare.com
God.
for an additional 10% off your order with promo code
She
Candace
really
10
is
at
making
checkout.
bank on this,
Again, that's
isn't she?
nimiskincare.com, promo code Candace 10
Holy,
at checkout.
so many ad reads.
All right, we are finally.
I've
at the
never
end.
seen
For those
so
of you that
many
are
ad
watching
reads.
it, maybe a good commentary for you would be the following on if you're a Andrew fan.
Imagine
and
being
you
an
still
Andrew
are
fan.
still saying, you know what, Andrew's arguments were solid, great. Candace, great. But did anything change your mind? Did you watch and say, you know what, I had this position over here. This would be an interesting commentary to hear.
I
And of
still
course,
think
for
they're
all
both
the people that are
stupid,
watching,
and
I was
that
just whispering
this
to
is
them
was
here.
a waste of time.
Before we wrap it
I
up,
think I'm firm in my opinion
whether
on
you're
this.
a fan of Andrew or not, whether you're a fan of Candace or not, nobody can dispute
I'm
the
fan
fact
of
that
neither.
you guys agreed to sit down and talk live. Others were thinking this was pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded, just so everybody knows. This is purely live. This is a little bit scarier than pre-recorded because pre-recorded you can do edits. So whether you
This
agree
is
with them or
scary.
not, let's make sure we
Scary
respect both of them
pre-recorded it.
for having this sit down and before the
Scary.
final thoughts. I want to make sure you
Jesus.
guys hear that from me as well, for inviting me here as well.
Of course.
I do know one
I'm
thing
just
that,
gonna throw
I
it
think
out
was
into
last
the
week, you
ethos
sent a message
of my
on one of our
evidences.
accounts. He said, can I talk to Patrick? We got on the call. He said, Patrick, can you moderate this? And then I said, great, let's do this. And so before we wrap up, final thoughts, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, she had nothing. Just nothing.
Yeah, none of you had
All of her
nothing.
claims of Patsy, nothing. She didn't have a single claim. She didn't have a single solid piece of evidence. She had no positive evidence Israel's involved in anything. No positive evidence that
That goes for you too,
France is involved in anything.
Andrew.
No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything. When I asked her about her claims about Erica Kirk, yeah, it was just funning. It's just funning, you know? Or, yeah, I do think that she needs to sit down and ask some questions, but, or answer some questions, but you know what? I don't even know if she has. Like, maybe she has. I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to have an official timeline with unconfirmed evidence. That's just fine. Hey, it's hearsay. If that's good enough for the state, it's good enough for me. But my biggest problem with the state is that they're admitting all this hearsay. It's like she's a contradiction machine. On top of all of this, the thing that I wanted to get out of this more than anything else was to just demonstrate one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. I'm not perfect on the case. I'm not going to ever pretend that I am.
Okay.
I never did. But what
You
has been
didn't need
very-
to spend $300,000 to prove that you're not perfect on the case. You didn't just that was not worth the amount of money that you paid for this. You know?
Made very clear to me is that there's nobody with an alternative theory that has any evidence for it at all. None. Zero. And the continuous kind of expression, we're running an investigation. What kind of investigation builds a timeline out on a receipt that they don't even confirm? What kind of investigation
A mature one.
make these bold claims that Israel's involved and France is involved and all these different players are involved and never shows any evidence? We're just asking questions. It's again, like I said in my opening, it's always intuition, my feelings, how I feel about things.
I mean,
how
he
I think
also
about
said
things.
that it's just convincing.
Andrew,
to
how many
him.
times you hear this today? Andrew, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to think. Yeah, nobody's trying to tell you how to think. But you should rationally come to your conclusions based on evidence and facts. And the truth is that 90% of what you're saying is simply intuition based. It came to me in a dream. It's intuition. Almost none of it has any evidence at all. Just, I'm skeptical because these people over here said things, and that makes me skeptical. It's like, but no evidence. Note this to the audience, to everybody watching. You might hate my guts. That's fair enough. I get that. I'm not the most likable man. I understand
You
that
also
too.
said that overwhelming
But
evidence
there
means
was
that it's just
nothing.
convincing
I mean,
to you.
no evidence at all.
You
that
also
Tyler
have no
Robinson
evidence,
was a patsy
Andrew.
that was ever put forward by Candace this entire debate. Now, maybe you could say that we stalemated when it came to whether or not Robinson did it. She says, I found the evidence convincing. Unconvincing. Andrew says he found the evidence convincing. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can't do too much about that, but there was nothing. She had nothing for Robinson being a patsy, nothing for any of her conspiracies, not a zero, zilch, and she backed away on a bunch of them. This is the first time I think she's ever really backed away from the Twigs thing. First time I've heard her back away from the Erica thing, back away from TPUSA, being very cautious about making any of those claims now, whereas on her show, much more likely to be making those claims. So she just had nothing the entire debate. Zero.
Candace.
Well, I think that is quite a conclusion. Admitting somewhere maybe we stalemated, it probably signifies what I've been saying from the beginning, that you didn't feel that you were strong on the actual facts and the evidence, which I was willing to engage with you. I wanted to go over the screwdriver, I wanted to go over the towel, the things that you've mentioned, and you wanted to then move the conversation into a defense of Erica Kirk and her character. And what I've said about Erica, which is my opinion, and I have not edited that opinion after discussing with you. I would like to extend a compliment to you for being willing to sit down and to have the conversation. I still walk away feeling that the people who are jumping on the bandwagon about this case don't care about this case. They don't care about Erica Kirk. It tends to follow that they take a meeting with Turning Point USA and they come out and suddenly have a lot of junk to say about Candace Owens. And I do want to also stress that Turning Point USA tried to pepper him with something as a surprise. He showed clips that were meant to be a surprise. I did no such thing. I stressed to PBD from the beginning that I was grateful he was taking this on and that I wanted this to be a clean debate because I believe I can win this on the merits, and I believe that I did win this fully on the merits by engaging the evidence of what has happened. I do still believe that there is more evidence which supports that there are more people involved and that Tyler Robinson has been set up. And that none of the evidence that was presented was in any way overwhelming, which is why I think you wanted to move to end that discussion quickly and to speak to me about France and to talk about this Panguitch receipt and my timeline. I want to remind people that a lot of the at-home investigators, which you were open to, as you called them, internet sleuths. I think it was on a show that you did right after Charlie was assassinated that internet sleuths would solve this. This is the reason why Charlie, a year on, is still a conversation every single day trending on Twitter. I knew Charlie. I cared about Charlie. I care about finding out what the truth is here. My heart is in the right place. I think anybody who watches my show or even just watched this debate knows that if I get something wrong, I'll instantly correct it and own it. I'm not arrogant. I don't need to sit here and pretend that I didn't misspeak on the Lance thing. It hasn't been ruled out. But you saw that he just really wanted to hammer that point. You know, part of being a well-meaning person is to concede when you are wrong, to take something off a timeline when you know it's not right. And I would like to think that that is why I have earned the audience that continues to follow me, because they know my heart's in the right place. that I deeply cared about Charlie and I deeply care about the answers. I want to thank
Oh my
Andrew's team
God.
who are providing the fact checks. It's a very small room that they're in. I want to, as always, thank my team who worked really hard to make this happen and flip the set. And to you, PBD, just for being a great moderator. I think very fair, letting us both speak and making sure that Andrew got out of this what he wanted, which was a little more than what I wanted. But I'm very content with how I dealt with this, and I will let. I trust. I don't need to convince the audiences with the magic trick of what they need to think about this debate. They can watch it and draw their own conclusions.
Beautiful. Fair from both of you. I think the audience won. And again, from the beginning, all of this is because of how much love and respect we have for Charlie Kirk, a great man that's no longer here with us. His 1 year
A
anniversary
great man indeed. Yeah.
is coming up here. I can't believe it's that quick that is here. The audience, I think you also won if you did.
That was
Support,
not
people
quick.
support.
That was painfully slow. It was painfully. What the fuck is this? 50-year-old man uses voice changer to sound like a teen. Busted. What? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Billy the Kid, you are on the line with Jimmy and Javon. Billy the Kid,
Oh shit.
What
Here-
the fuck is happening?
here he is.
Hello.
Hello, Billy the Kid.
Hell yeah.
You've called in to say that
Hell
communism
yeah.
is bad system.
Hell yeah.
First of all, I advocate for socialism
yeah.
and acknowledge that it is likely a middle step that to an eventuality of communism. Do you also believe that socialism
Oh,
is a
yeah.
bad system?
No, I don't think socialism is a bad system. I think communism has been proven to not be a good
Oh my
system
god, your
in
voice
reality.
changer is super cringy this time. What, can you go back to the
Shit.
voice changer you used last time? This sounds like fucking. You sound like you're trying to get on in like, call me deep throat. Are you like my brother? Is that
Hang
what
on.
it is? Like you're like one of my shitty brothers or something, and you're trying to hide that?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Well,
I'm
then
your
just
brother
drop
and
the
I'm
voice
trolling
changer. I
you, Jimmy.
figured it out. What?
Okay. You figured what out?
If you said you are my brother, then
Hello?
just drop it.
Yeah, I'm not your brother. You know that.
I don't know that. I don't know
How's
who
that?
you are.
Oh my god.
I'm Billy the Kid. Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
I don't
God.
think I can do such a cringy voice changer. I'm only gonna
You
think
can't hear
about
me?
how cringy this voice changer is.
Is it still bad? How's this?
Yes, the whole time is bad. What is so bad about communism? And make sure that it is consistent with actual definitions of communism and not Fox News propaganda about communism.
Why would I quote any Fox News stuff? But anyways. So,
Oh.
correct me if I'm wrong, but communism is a system,
Is this
right?
Joe Biden? He just
That
butt anyways
eliminates-
like Joe Biden does. Is this Joe Biden? But anyways.
What?
Why is communism bad?
Wait, what is communism?
The system.
Shit. Hello?
What is
Hello.
communism?
Hello?
Wait,
Can you
so
hear
you
me?
called in with a voice changer that, and you can't even hear
No
us?
way.
You don't even have your call system fucking set up? Billy, just call in
Okay,
as
hold
yourself.
on. I'm turning off. I'm turning it off. I'm turning it off. Hold on.
Right.
Hold on.
No way.
Hold on.
Would it be really
Oh,
funny if
okay,
he came
it's
in with
off.
like just, no,
Or
it
is it
isn't. No, it's still the same.
There's no fucking
Wouldn't it be so
way,
funny
dude.
if he turned it off and then it was like clearly Jordan Peterson in his like black mold coma or room wherever he is. He's like, I got a hold of the phone. I'm gonna talk to you guys. I'm gonna tell you all about God.
It would be a little funny. It'd make me laugh. I would chuckle at least 3 chuckles.
I'd get a solid 7. Or it's like clearly Dilla hunting.
So
He's like, I'm
communism?
just trying to fuck with you guys.
Low key, if it ended up being Dillahunty, I think it'd be all worth it.
That'd be
If
worth
he just
the
had
whole
this
thing.
burner account he's been using for months,
Yeah, routing
Billy the
through a
Kid, what is
company in
communism?
Utah.
So it's a political and socio-economical ideology, right, that eliminates all private property and social classes.
Great.
I love
And
that
don't
they
say no.
always focus it on, like, they love to try and define it with a term like eliminates, because all they want to do when defining it is try to describe it in, and so if you currently have something, here's what you're losing. Never with like what you're gaining. Like when people want to talk about like Medicare for all, and people are like, and you're gonna have to pay X number of dollars in taxes, never actually addressing like, and you're going to pay way less for your healthcare overall every year. It's literally,
But that's
here's the most
different.
negative version of definition that isn't a good definition in the first place, to try and frame it in a way of like, hey, by the way, people, the definition of communism
It's
is
literally
defined
the
by what
definition.
I'm saying you will lose.
It's fine.
It's
What I want to
literally
know,
the
what I want to
definition
know
of communism.
from, what I want to know from you, Billy the Kid, is why is private property ethical? Why is it ethical to allow for ownership of private property?
It allows freedom, individual freedom for one. It also enables
I just looked. He
competition.
thinks the definition is the AI overview. He said it's literally the definition, and he was using the second sentence from an AI overview. Go on.
There's no AI, but that's fine.
Yes, it is. I just read. It's word for word what you just said. The second sentence of Google's AI overview.
From where?
Google.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any AI overview.
So now he's pretending he
okay,
didn't
though.
read it word for word. He just pulled it. It just happens to be word for word the same, and he pulled it out of his brain. All right, answer Javon's
Here,
question.
Billy the Kid. I got a question for you. Do you believe that it's unethical for one person, specifically like one individual person, to have some type of power, okay, an arbitrary power, over another person's ability to meet their basic needs?
Yes.
Great. Does private property ownership give somebody arbitrary power over another person's ability to meet their basic needs?
It can in some circumstances.
No, does it?
It can, yes.
Do private property owners not have the
Unless
authority
there's
to decide who
regulations
may
to prevent
access
that
their
from happening,
resources?
yes, there is.
Okay,
Okay.
so on its base level, private ownership gives owners the ability to arbitrarily decide who may access the resources necessary for survival. This includes housing, this includes farmland, this includes factories, whatever. Right?
No.
Now,
No, I wouldn't say that.
yes. Well, you wouldn't say that? How not?
I'm
Getting the
not
vibe
saying
that Billy's under 18 years old, honestly.
How would you not say that private property owners don't have the authority to decide who may access the resources that they own?
Oh, that they own. Yeah, well, of course.
Okay, so then
But
as
what
I
does
said,
that have to
private
do with
property
contributing to the
wait,
overall-
Hold on. Wait. So you agree with me that it's unethical for one person to have arbitrary power over another person's ability to meet their basic needs, and you agree with me that private property owners have the direct authority to decide who may access the resources that they own.
That's right.
Here's
There's no
my next
contradiction
point.
there.
I didn't say there was a contradiction yet. I don't know why you're jumping ahead. You just make yourself look foolish. Next, do most people on the globe, own productive resources?
No.
Or, great, no. So therefore, private property creates an ethically unjustifiable relationship between through domination and coercion. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and thank you for agreeing to my P1, my P2, and my P3.
So let me respond to that. So it can, right? So let's say that I own a house and I have a 9,000 square foot lot, right? And there's 1 billion homeless, starving people in Africa and India. How is my 9,000 square foot lot?
A house is
And
not
I
private
own it,
property.
right? How is my 9,000
A house is
square
not
foot
private property.
lot going to
house
make a
is not private
difference
property.
whatsoever to those
A house is not
any of
private
those
property.
people.
A house is not private property. It's personal
What do
property.
you mean the house
Thank you
isn't
for coming to
private property?
A house. So
It is.
what we've learned here is that you've been chirping in the comments for so long, and I know you've listened to my show and Jimmy's show like constantly because I see you in the chat, and you've never heard of the distinction between personal and private property. Your home is personal property. Private property are the tenants of the means of production that are utilized in the creation of goods and services. This would be land, labor, capital, and technology. Your personal house is not one of those. Now, if you own 10 houses, one of which you live in, 9 of which you rent out, yes, you are now an owner who arbitrarily decides whether or not somebody has access to something they need for survival, which is shelter. And you can arbitrarily decide who gets that access. You get to arbitrarily decide the price of that access, and then sell this resource back to a person. This is an unethical system, like you agreed with me when you agreed to my P1, my P2, and my P3.
So,
Therefore, agreeing to my C.
so my 9,000 square foot lot that I own, right? I get to choose who I can share it with, right? Yes or no?
I don't know why we're talking about personal property again.
Why would a person own a 9,000 square foot lot outside of the? How
He's
many?
calling his house. He's saying his house is the.
Oh, we're
the
saying,
lot.
and we're saying square feet, right? Yeah. So personal property, as he
So the
just
whole
explained
lot
to
is
you,
square.
personal property is. He just explained it to you.
Yeah, well, I'm rebutting it because it doesn't make sense.
You have,
Why?
except for that you didn't rebut it. You restated your question before. So what doesn't make sense about the distinction between personal and private property? And by the way, a rebuttal would actually be an argument that disqualifies the difference, that debunks the difference, not just saying it doesn't make sense. So you can either rebut or you can ask clarifying. I think you're meaning to ask clarifying. What are you failing to grasp about the difference between private and personal property?
Everything, I guess.
So, Jovan's definition of private property was
Is what?
that it generates, that it contributes into generating goods and wealth, right?
You
It
believe
would be the means of production used in the generation of using the production of goods and services. These would be things like land. I put them into 4 categories: land, labor, capital, and technology.
So the land that I own, right? How is that contributing to, say, like lodging,
It
sleeping?
wouldn't be. Hold on. It wouldn't be if you just own a house you live in. That's your own personal property. Marx and Engels make a distinction between bourgeois private property and personal property.
I never said bourgeois or private. I said
Oh my God.
I started off by
I'm
saying
just
if I own a
describing
9,000
to you,
square foot house that I live
The
in.
defensiveness of ignorance. Goodness sakes.
Billy. I'm just explaining to you how this shit works on a basic
No
theory
ignorance
level.
there.
So let me split it up. So when we talk about land can be private property. I would say that land.
Right.
Some people would argue that land can also be personal. I would say your house can be personal, but the land it lives on should be public. But land can be private property.
Should be.
So when you're looking at, yes, I would say all land should be public property, but your house can be private.
Right.
You should just have
I don't think it would be
what I-
unreasonable to extend a minimum amount of like per person you can have up to like
I think,
my
I think
yard.
land should be given on 100-year leases from the community. You get a 100-year lease to that land.
Or just whatever your personal like my yard should be considered part of my house. Where my dog is going, that people shouldn't be in my backyard when I am sleeping because it is my personal property.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Now we're talking about
That's
how
that's
far you're
fine.
extending the house right
distinction,
to.
The distinction would be that, like, let's say you are living in the community and you have a house and like you're just digging in your backyard because you're able to still dig and you hit oil, right? That oil isn't yours. It would belong
Sure.
to the community.
Which
as
already
a
is
whole.
the case right now in America anyway.
So-
like America claims in a lot of states and stuff, unless you own in a
Eminent
very
domain.
specific way, yeah, you don't even own what is under the ground.
Yeah. Although you have to have like the mineral rights for some things and whatever.
If you have an
So
HOA,
when
you probably don't even really own your house.
Yeah, when it comes to land is private property. We're talking about natural resources. So that's going to be forests, mines, farmlands, things like that. Some buildings, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. If it's like office buildings or apartment complexes would be owned by everybody there, so that would be a public place. Labor is going to be specifically the capacity to work. So we're looking at like people who own labor or people who business owners technically own your labor. They're purchasing your labor from you, right? So that would be the form when we talk about labor.
かわいいでしょ
Capital is going to be machinery, factories, tools, certain vehicles, public office spaces, things like that. And then technology is going to be patents, copyrights, trade secrets, software, these sort of things. All of those things should not be privately owned. It is unethical to privately own them. Now, I'm a little bit different in terms of socialism. Most socialists or communists are not going to talk about ethicalness, like they're going to only talk about material conditions. I like to speak on things from an ethical standpoint. I think it makes more sense in my brain. I think it is unethical for a singular person to own these because of the propositions I gave to you earlier.
Okay, I'd like to dive into that just a little bit as far as this is where I probably differ from you. As far as I don't view it as unethical. I think it can be unethical, but I don't think it's always unethical to the point where we should know.
Oh, you're broke.
I can
You're
see
breaking
having
again.
regulations.
Your thing failed again. We don't know what you said
Right.
because you are using not even a voice changer. As somebody pointed out in the chat, you're using a pitch changer, which
Oh,
means you're
yes,
not
the
disguised at
demo.
all. All someone would have to do
Yeah,
is dial your
どう
pitch
して
back to normal.
Wait, I'm about to do it right now. It'll change
男
your
の
pitch
人
too,
から
Jimmy, but I want to hear what he
I
sounds
don't-
like right now.
なんか
I don't care. I don't care anymore about
Then turn it off.
my verbal voice. It
Keep
is
talking.
off.
No, it isn't.
I think he's adjusted by 2 semitones. Because when I adjust by 2 semitones, he sounds like a normal 18-year-old kid.
Yeah. Even
I
18.
closed out the whole thing.
Oh,
Hello?
3 semitones. Billy, are you up by 2 or 3 semitones?
I don't know.
By the way, I looked up a quiz on the basics of communism, and literally early in the quiz are distinctions between personal and literally this 10th question. What does communism say about private property? What is personal property in communist discussion? Is number 11.
Yeah, so I
That's
just to
early.
reiterate, you agreed with me on
Giovandes.
P1 that it's unethical for one person to have arbitrary power over another person's ability to meet their basic needs. You agreed with me that private ownership just blatantly allows, like it just sets a system up that allows for that private ownership. And you agree with me that because people don't own the productive resources, they have to accept the conditions that are set upon by the owner of those resources. So private property has to create an unethical, an unjustifiable relationship based upon your agreement to those 3
猫
pieces.
の耳の人
And not that
の
it
名前は
clear,
ジョーバン
it's
で
that it
す
is the only system that allows for that to happen.
Other circumstances where it doesn't happen, but it also allows the individual freedom to own those.
No, there actually aren't
Properties.
circumstances it doesn't happen. Literally, that's why when you see when you see it get to the extreme, people
二人目
start
の
referring
人
it to the end stages of capitalism,
あ、いや、友達じゃ
implying
な
a
い
progress toward that end in totality, but it begins happening partially in that lead up. So you can't even say in its introduction, you might say that the disparities are less, but they still exist, and then they reach end
my God.
stage. What is the example of
難しいですね。
capitalism that maintained that was sustained, maintained a level
いや
of
ただの知り合いです
wealth distribution fairness
なんかの
and didn't eventually end
いきなり
up in fascism?
I can give you an
Well, you have to wait for your changer to turn back on because you
So
just got out.
Regulations, for example.
人間関係って難しいですね。
Wait, what are you giving me an example of? Are you giving me an example of where capitalism didn't fail?
Yeah.
Where?
So let's take Massachusetts, for example.
Massachusetts in America. American capitalism is literally actively falling right now and has had to be bailed out by socialist programs, borrow from socialism multiple times over the years.
Yeah.
In fact, it survived.
I'll call tomorrow.
I know, but
by
it's not
today.
communism,
borrowing
is it?
from socialism while also oppressing the socialism that was working in
That's
other
different.
countries.
I'm not arguing against socialism. I'm arguing against communism.
Yes, but you're supposed to be
Which
giving an
was the
example of
point
where
that I was
capitalism
debating.
works.
I've been muted. That's why. I feel like we're letting him dodge. I feel like we're letting him dodge the coercion argument. Like he's getting to move past it.
Yeah, we can come back to it. I'm still waiting for him
Oh, go
to
ahead.
figure out. I asked him where capitalism worked, and he started with Massachusetts.
そうですね。
I would
Well, I
say
didn't have a
capitalism
chance
is
to
working as
finish.
long as the global south. Wait, do you know what the global south is, Billy the Kid?
Do I know what?
Do you know what the global south is?
The global south? No, I don't.
Yeah, I would say you don't have the knowledge base to have a conversation about capitalism working without knowing what the global south is.
Well, why don't you
That's
tell
not
me
a
what the
Basic
global...
questions about
Why don't-
capitalism and
Wait,
communism.
hold on. I just want to be so
Oh,
clear
you
about
won
something.
there,
Wait,
Jovan.
no,
You know the
seriously,
global...
Billy
The
the Kid,
global
please
south
listen to
is?
me
Oh,
here.
you don't?
Billy
Oh,
the
then you
Kid.
don't have
Billy
the
the
means to
Kid,
have
I
a
need you,
conversation.
Billy the Kid, Billy the Kid.
He sounds so much sillier
that's
with his
me.
dumb
I
voice
need you.
changer.
I need you to understand something here. I'm not saying this as a dig.
Such a
To
weird
Good,
song.
isn't it?
properly
That's the
explain
kawaii.
the global south to somebody who has no clue what it is going to take me 30 fucking minutes.
And it is, by the
Well,
way,
you,
one of
you
the foundational
fucking explained
basics.
communism in 30
Billy, hey
fucking
Billy,
seconds.
Billy.
Why can't you
No,
explain
I
this?
didn't. No, I
Billy,
didn't. We haven't
Billy.
even dived into like the intricacies
Yeah,
of
you
communism.
actually did.
Billy,
You
Billy,
summed it up in
Billy,
like
Give
two
you the
sentences.
base.
Hey Billy,
Brother.
baby girl.
They
What he's
give
trying
you
to
the
express to
base
you.
of the
Hey
global
Billy,
south.
Billy,
Brother.
Billy.
that?
First of all, Billy, you getting mad and
Brother.
triggered and upset and melting down is funnier because you still haven't figured out how to turn off your voice changer and you sound ridiculous. You literally sound so like every time a bad movie has a woman dressed up as a man trying to pretend to sound like a man to get access to the secret boys club, you sound like that trope in a movie. It's very silly and ridiculous. Second of all, the global south is very relevant to the question and the topic that we have here. It is foundational and it is basic, but it is basic in a way of like, not like you should
Why I
have picked
asked
it up
if you could
necessarily.
sum
I'm
it
not
up in
done
a
talking.
sentence.
I'm not done
And
talking.
all I got.
It is basic foundational information that takes time to consume. And if you are calling in without understanding what the global south is, you are like the last caller expressing a strong opinion while not having foundational knowledge that is necessary to be frankly taken seriously. I am not going to take a flat earther seriously who doesn't understand the basics of anything as they try to tell me
Flat
about the
earther.
age of the earth on the basis that they have demonstrated they don't understand the foundations. And you don't understand the foundations of economic theory, of economic distribution across the globe, and apparently has rage quit. Is that what just happened? Billy just rage quit?
I guess. I
Too
don't know what
embarrassed to
this
say?
is like. Like, imagine if I called someone to debate like how reproduction works, but I don't know what a fetus is. Like,
Right.
there's a
I
knowledge
just got
base.
told evolution doesn't exist by someone who's never heard the word allele.
I could give Billy a simple "this is the global south," but like I don't think he understands that like it's a larger conversation that I'm going to now have to explain every 5 seconds because you don't know what it is.
Did Billy hang up to call back without the silly voice changer? Maybe I'm being too bad faith. Maybe Billy's gonna be ringing us in a moment and it's gonna go, "Hi, does my voice work correctly now?" Because Billy's 12.
Oh my
It
god.
sounds like Mickey Mouse apparently.
But also he agreed to my premises, so I don't know what we're still arguing.
Wait,
He
they're still
agrees
going the
that
video.
At its core, capitalism fundamentally creates an
Yeah,
unethical,
ingen to
unjust
omoshiroi.
system where your basic resources can be controlled and denied by singular individuals.
Billy, you're back
You can put me
on
on.
the line.
Hello, can you hear me?
We sure did.
There he is without the voice changer.
Oh my fucking god.
No voice
And how old
changer.
are you really? Because this is not the voice of a 51-year-old.
I'm 52.
Oh, okay.
What year were you born?
But thank you. Thank
What year
you
were you
for acknowledging that I sound much younger than I am.
What year were you
I
born?
was born in 1970. 74, Javon, 74.
What's your social
Quick math,
security number?
52.
And the last
Yo,
four digits
mama.
of your credit card? And the 3 numbers on the back?
Yes.
Your zip
Absolutely. I'll email it. Yeah, I'll email it to you. You know what? You can actually use that to disperse my wealth amongst yourselves.
Billy, I'd like a syllogism to why you think my argument is weak.
Because the argument that you were making, right? You were putting me into a trap. I agreed with a portion of what you said, and you were taking that portion of the agreement and then applying it to your premise, which is not the right thing to do. And you were misrepresenting what I was trying to say and then using that against me.
What? You agreed to both of my premises.
A portion of it. There's a difference between agreeing. Yes. No, a portion of it.
Nope. Now you have two people saying nope, and you're yes, so you lose. Simple math.
Okay, so
Billy, syllogism.
let's go back.
Wait. Let's just hold on. Let's just go through it again. Is it unethical for one person to just have the power, to have an arbitrary set of power over another person's ability to meet their basic needs?
No, and I said no before, and I and
No,
I,
it's not ethical.
no.
Everybody was
yes
here.
before
It's
we
said
can
not
say the tape.
ethical.
You said yes.
It's not ethical for one person
It's not,
to have
no,
the
is it
power over
unethical?
someone else.
Is it unethical? You said it's not ethical, so you agree it is unethical
It
for
is
one person.
unethical for
Great.
one
Premise one
person
agreed to.
to have such power over another individual where they can deprive
Arbitrarily.
them of their necessary needs to live. Yes.
Great.
Where they
Premise
have the
one agreed.
ability to do this. Great. So P1, you agreed
Agreed.
to P1. P2,
P1,
when
check.
you just great. When you allow for private ownership of productive resources, that gives a singular person or a corporation the authority to decide who may access those resources necessary for survival.
Correct. Agree with that.
Great. P3, because most people do not own productive resources, they have to accept the conditions set by the owners to gain access to those necessities.
Correct. Agree.
Therefore, private property creates an unethical, unjustifiable relation of domination and coercion. So you do agree with P1, P2, P3 in their entirety.
Yeah, but there's two
My
types
God.
of private property, though, isn't there? Right? There's private property that produces goods and services, which is a corporation. But then there's also private property, which is the house that I own and the land that I own.
The house you own
And
is
that's
not
where I disagree.
private
Hold on.
property.
That's where I disagree with you. So the house that I own, right? A 9,000 square foot lot with a house on it and land, and I own it. It's a private property, and it's also my asset, right?
Do you have an HOA?
I get to choose what I do with it. How is that under communism,
if it's
though?
a
I
house
wouldn't
you live in, it's
be
personal
allowed
property. I don't know
to do
why I
that.
have to keep. I don't know why we have to keep doing. If it's a house you live in, it's personal property.
Do you have an HOA?
Personal.
But you just
Billy,
said
do you have an
should-
HOA?
you- hold on.
Billy, do you have an HOA?
Hold on, let me 1 second. Let me just address this.
No, it's a
So,
simple yes or no.
before-
The 1 second would have been
Go ahead.
already.
What?
Do you have an HOA?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately.
You don't really own your house then anyway.
Okay, I'm just
Go
going
on.
to give you the definition
Well, I do.
of
They
personal
don't have
and
it. No,
private property.
hold on. They don't have a deed to my house, so yes, I do own it. They
Do you
have
have
limited.
the ability, do you have the
powers
ability
that
to
they can
opt
do.
out of the HOA?
Unfortunately, no.
Can the HOA take your home if you stop paying your HOA fees?
No. Nope.
You are
They
incorrect.
cannot.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
No.
Yes,
Well,
they
no,
can.
they can't, Jimmy. No,
Yes,
they can't.
They can. That is what they
So-
do
so
when
you-
you
you read-
violate the HOA.
so
you
you-
already said you can't opt out, and they can
So
literally
you've read my
sue
HOA
you and
papers,
put a
and you
lien
know.
on your house and take possession of your
Oh.
house if you
Oh,
don't
so
pay
you've
your
read my
fees.
HOA papers and you know
Correct.
exactly what it says in the language. You've read that.
Yep.
You
Hey,
you
Billy.
have. Okay, what's
Okay,
my
Billy.
okay?
Hey,
what's
Billy,
my
Billy,
HOA?
Billy,
What's
you
my
can make
HOA
this point.
association
Billy,
name then?
you can make this point if you
Why-
want,
well, I
but
don't know
you
why
are
we're
now
doing-
going to have to dox yourself to me because if your counterpoint is that you don't have the routine HOA, what's it called, TOS, you're going to need to send me proof of that.
I don't even know why we're doing this when he doesn't know the
You
distinction
have-
between private
you
and
have to
public
He
separate
doesn't
property.
even
proof
know.
that
He
your
doesn't know
claim-
that with an HOA, he doesn't actually own it. Do you actually live in California?
Yes, I do.
Do you have the rights
Coastal
to what's in
California.
your land?
Yes, I do.
You sure about
Absolutely.
that? Which part of
I'm
California are you
absolutely
in?
sure. I have the lawyer. Yeah, I have a lawyer. I have the papers. We
Can I
put
talk
our
to your
house
lawyer?
into a trust.
Can I talk
What's
to your
that?
lawyer? Can I talk to your
A
lawyer?
what lawyer?
Can we
Yeah,
get
lawyer,
get
you
back,
said.
can
Yeah,
we get back to the
multiple
actual
lawyers.
debate?
Okay, go ahead. But he doesn't
Okay.
own his house.
Well,
if you have an HOA, you don't really
Try,
own your
Jimmy.
home.
You're wrong. Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
care. Billy, I'm going to give you the definitions of personal and private property because you don't know them. Personal
No, don't say I don't know them.
is
Don't say I don't
property. You
know them,
don't.
Giovanni.
You
That's,
don't. You
that's
don't.
dishonest. Don't
You
say
don't.
that. I
You
do
don't.
because we just
No,
said
you don't.
there's two types of
my
private There's two types of private
No.
property, right?
Nope.
There
Nope.
not two types of private property.
Nope.
There isn't.
Nope.
No.
Personal property.
So my house
and
isn't
private property.
Okay.
Your house
Does
is
my
personal
house produce
property.
services and goods? Does my house produce
shouldn't.
services and goods?
It shouldn't.
Does it though? It doesn't, so it doesn't fall under that category. No, it's my personal property, my house. It doesn't produce any services, doesn't produce any goods.
So then it's
Right?
personal
There's
property.
two
It's not
types of
private
private
property,
property.
Billy. No,
And
you're
it's also
define-
private
Billy,
under law.
Billy, shut
It's
the
also
fuck
private.
up. We're not
You don't
talking about
understand.
under law, Billy. We're talking about fucking economic theory, you
Then what are
fucking
you talking about?
jackass.
Hypothetical?
Economic
Then
theory,
what the
you
fuck are you
jackass.
talking about?
Are you
Hypothetical?
fucking stupid,
Are you
Billy?
talking about
Did you
hypothetical?
wake up today and decide I'm gonna be a fucking dumbass? Personal property. Property an individual possesses for their own
Who's the
personal use.
dumbass?
Private property. Productive property that grants its owner exclusive control over resources. Your house is personal property. Every time you go, well, it's
And
private. 'cause that's what
private.
the- Shut the fuck
Oh,
up. Go back.
I muted Billy. I muted
done.
Billy.
No,
because
I'm done. I'm
Billy,
done.
Billy,
I'm not doing
you
this shit.
absolute
Nah, I kicked
dipshit.
him. I kicked
He's
him. I'm
not
done.
making these things up. When he says
Fuck,
economic
bro.
theory and you're sitting and going, what, you mean hypotheticals? No, if you went and took an economy 101 class, that place you got the lawyer you were just telling us about, they would describe these definitions. They would give you the distinction between these words, that it is a surprise to you. Again, this is the equivalent of talking, and I'm not an economist. This is the equivalent of letting a flat earther tell you about geography.
Dude.
You don't know the basics.
Damn. I see that Destiny came to the same conclusion as I. Andrew Wilson gets humiliated by Candace Owens in $300,000 debate. Hey man, I cannot believe he paid that much for a debate. Oh god. Can't believe this bullshit.
Are alligators pets? Is this my pet alligator? Where can I get a pet alligator? All these kind of questions are things I get on almost a daily basis, and so let's go ahead and talk about
Florida.
it. I've done a couple of videos about this before, but this is such a reoccurring topic and a very important one, I think. So, first of all, is he my pet? No, Big Mac is not my pet.
Oh my god.
We run a 40-acre animal sanctuary here at Bellowing Acres that is home to over almost 300 animals. We keep on getting more tortoises, so we're actually getting up there. But that does include 30 crocodilians, and not a single one of our crocodilians would I ever think of or consider to be a pet. And in fact, I am very opposed to the idea of keeping any species of crocodilian as a pet, okay? So I want to explain to you guys why I think that's a bad idea. Why
Because
you
you
shouldn't
might
do that.
die.
Why is it bad for you?
You might be
Why is it
killed.
bad for
You
them?
might be eaten by your pet.
Why is this a case of do as I say, not as I do? Rules for thee, not for me. These are all questions and comments I get very often. And I have talked about this a couple of times, but I literally just got a message the other day. Can you help me get a pet alligator? And I'm like, oh my God, no. You know,
Oh my God.
Why is it bad, first of all, for you to have a pet alligator? So, in most states, thankfully, it is
Oh, gosh.
illegal to do so, okay? So in Florida, if you want to own an alligator, you have to apply for your Class 2 crocodilian license from Fish and Wildlife. You have to have a documented 1,000 hours of
God.
experience and have 2.5 acres of land to be able to own an alligator. For a Class 1 crocodilian, that's the crocodiles, you have to have the same 1,000 hours and a minimum of 5 acres of land, okay? You don't have to have the animal on 5 acres, but you have to own 5 acres. That way you have a bit of space between where you have your animal and your neighbors. But anyway, so that's a pretty good way to do it for the law, you know, to avoid people from just being able to willy-nilly get one of these things as a pet. Although, they have a caveat in there where in Florida you can get a 4 feet and under permit. You still have to document your hours, but you can then keep them under 4 feet in your house, which I think is a bad move on the state of Florida. I don't think they should allow that. I think it's
Insane.
unethical. It leads to a lot of people getting a smaller crocodilian as a baby and they want to just keep it for 4 years, and then what? Then they want to dump it on us or other facilities. Now, if you were able to, if you had a legitimate educational program or business where you bring young crocodilians to schools to teach people and you actually use it properly for educational purposes, I can see that being a good thing, and you work with a licensed facility where you can return it once it's too big. But what often happens is people have no real plans of what they're going to do with it once it gets too big, and they just want to have it as a pet, not as an actual educational animal. So I think that's a bad idea to begin with right there. But we do
What's
get
wrong with
contacted all the
cute
time. We're like,
crocodiles?
hey, my pet, whatever, gator, croc, caiman is getting too big. Will you guys take it? And honestly, we are pretty full over here. When we can, we do. You know, we do try to provide sanctuary for whatever animals that we can, but it is difficult for us to keep up with the amount of people that do message us on this. But either way, that's talking about people who do have it legally. Unfortunately, we get a lot of messages from people who have their animal illegally. Many states, it's a full-out ban. Some states, there are no laws, like Texas. You can just go have a Nile crocodile in Texas, no permit required, but you're not allowed to have an alligator because it's a native animal in Texas. So I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're all kinds of backwards on their permit process. But either way, if you do have your animal illegally, it is very difficult for a sanctuary to take it once it gets too big. It depends on what state you're in, but for us here in Florida, every single crocodilian I have here has a paper trail that is checked and inspected by my FWC officer. So we do get people all the time, I have my animal illegally, can I give it to you? No, I am not allowed to accept that. Now, what we have been able to do sometimes is talk to Fish and Wildlife and tell them this person is trying to do the right thing, and they are, well, really it comes down to whether or not that person in law enforcement is looking to rectify a situation or just punish people. If you have someone coming forward trying to do the right thing and they come forward on it, a lot of times they won't punish you, but sometimes they will. That depends on your officer, and that's a risk you're gonna take and that you should have thought of before you did something illegal. Now in Florida, they have the Pet Amnesty program, which is great, where you can actually contact the Pet Amnesty and you can surrender an animal. Like people have done this with leopards. People have crazy, totally illegal, majorly illegal animals they got off the black market that they can hand over to the Pet Amnesty program, and they don't get in trouble for it, and that keeps them from releasing it. Because here, that's a big problem, is people are like, well, I don't know what to do with it. It's dangerous now. I was stupid to get this in the first place. What can I do with my illegal pet? I'm just gonna let it go. That's a major problem in Florida, as we know, with invasive species and people releasing all kinds of crazy stuff. So to combat that invasive issue, what we do in Florida is we have this Pet Amnesty program that I think works really, really well. Not all states have that. Now, I have been able to be in contact with Fish and Wildlife of other states, and talk to them about allowing them to take in this animal and give them the example of our pet amnesty program. And we have been able to work with other states to be able to house illegally kept animals in that way. Okay, so that is one way to do it. So why is it bad for you
Let's
to have a
try one more
crocodilian?
fight.
Probably illegal wherever you are. You'll probably get in trouble eventually. And then also, why is it bad for you if it gets big enough to actually kill you? And so that kind of thing does happen. Now, usually this is the point, once it gets big enough and it takes a chunk out of somebody or they lose a finger, that's where they're like, okay, I should probably get rid of this thing. And they start contacting people like us, right? So it can be a threat to you and it can cause you legal problem, all that kind of stuff. But most people don't really care about that sort of thing. Most of the people who are in this situation are like, yeah, whatever, they're not concerned about that. So the point that I really try to drive home that I think resonates with people who are interested in this even more, it's not fair to the animal. So what we do run into a lot of the time, almost, I don't want to say a lot of the time, I would say 99% of the time, is your pet crocodilian is almost always disfigured. Almost always has a high level of metabolic bone disease, and sometimes the animal is so disfigured it doesn't even resemble the species it is a part of. And so, like, an example I give of this is an alligator named Saw that I used to work with that came from Missouri. That was an exotic pet that ended up at a rescue there. And this gator, man, I mean, we'll show a photo of it so you could see, but like, if you were a biologist and you saw that thing and you didn't know about metabolic bone disease in the pet trade, you would think that's a different species, okay? It looks so horrifically disfigured. So this disfigurement, this metabolic bone disease, well, first of all, metabolic bone disease is an umbrella term for a lot of other more specific ailments, but we usually just kind of put it under this umbrella terminology. But it can manifest itself, especially in crocodilians, with a very short, fat head. So instead of like, he's got a long, wild head, he would have a short, fat looking head. A lot of times the jawline curves upwards unnaturally. That's another characteristic you'll see often. And then the teeth, instead of going down, pointing down and up from the bottom, you know, like they're supposed to, the teeth will splay out to a point where when they close their jaws, sometimes their gums are hitting the food and their teeth don't even touch the food because the teeth stick so far out, which is why we end up naming that alligator as referring to Saw, because her face looks like a saw blade because the teeth stick out so much instead of up and down like they're supposed to. Now that looks horrific. That obviously causes an issue for the animal to be able to eat on its own, but even worse is the inability to even open the jaws more than an inch. So with the case of that alligator Saw, I would have to feed her exclusively with tongs because she was unable to pick food up on her own off of the ground because the teeth only, the mouth only opens up this much. So the animal can't even open up its jaws. Like let's look at him, like Big Mac, he opens up his jaws. He wants to open them up nice and wide for us. That's not even very wide. You can do way wider than that, bro. You've seen the videos where he yawns. So, I mean, imagine it's only this much space for an alligator like this. Like, look at that. Like, imagine it's literally this much. That is what happens to a lot of these alligators because of metabolic bone disease. They could never do this. They could never open up that much. Their teeth are not going to be up and down like what you see his are. Imagine these teeth here sticking like this instead of up and down. That's what we're talking about there. And then having, instead of a straight head and jaws right here, having it have this upturn. That's what Talia, our saltwater crocodile, she exhibits metabolic bone disease where her snout curves up like that. So those are all some major problems. Also, you'll see the teeth. He's got nice big teeth. A lot of these MBD gators and crocs, they have little, short, tiny teeth that are very underdeveloped. That's a case with Cadmus, one of our Nile crocodiles as a captive pet animal. That came to us. His teeth are relatively small and not properly formed. Another one you'll see, the osteoderms on the back. So if you look at his osteoderms, the spikes, the ridges along the back, you can see they are literal spikes. Okay, they're spikes and ridges, what they're supposed to be. You'll see on an animal with a bad case of metabolic bone disease, they'll be totally smooth. Sorry guys, I had to pause for a second because it's gonna yawn. I want to get that on video. But anyways, so you'll see these gators with bad metabolic bone disease where their back is the osteoderms on the back are pretty much totally smooth. You don't see that development of the spike. There's basically no spike on them at all. Another one that you often see is the coloration. He's black. As an adult alligator, this is what they're supposed to look like. Basically solid black, and you can see a little bit of his patterning on his side, but really not that much. Now, sometimes you get adults that do have more patterning visible if they are in an area where it's highly shaded, but that's not the norm. But even that is not comparable to a pet animal that will be very, very bland in color and almost white sometimes, you know, with the out. And that, I don't want to say white, but like very, very pale. Okay, and so that's improper lighting, not getting sunlight, you know, all that kind of stuff. You also see their eyes are often a lot lighter, and so I'm not exactly sure what that is associated with, but that is not a healthy sign. When we first caught Dino, his eyes were like a very light gray, and he was almost dead. So having super lightly colored eyes like that, unless it's like an animal that has some sort of recessive genetic trait like albinism or something like that, having super lightly colored eyes is also highly associated with long-term captive pet animals and
All right, we will finish the stream for today. I will do more. I will do news tomorrow because I have to do something. But I love you all. It's been nice. We'll do a better one tomorrow. I suffered through the Candace Owens thing, and it just sapped me out of all of my energy, you know? It just sapped me out of my soul. So I'll raid you into the Quartering Collective so that you can get some nice intellectual theory, you know? I'll see you tomorrow. Or today, I guess. Bye-bye.